Welcome to Combox. This is Jared and Sharon coming at you for another watch along. Arshdeep is swinging the ball into pads at the moment. Yeah. I'm sure you all have many different opinions and things you want to talk about. But KKR have won the toss and are batting first. What are we expecting, Sharon? Anything? Nothing? All those things at once?
See, the biggest thing is that they don't have their two big spinners today, right? They don't have Varun Chakravarti or Sunil Narine, and they've changed their team up a bit. They've got Rovman Powell as one of the batters for the overseas slot, and they've gone with Navdeep Saini in their playing 11. So I will be quite interested to see how they go. But I think essentially what I'm looking at the team is when they've won the toss and they've batted first, I think they just want to set as high a total as they possibly can because they don't really have their bowling quality drops off, right? Like even with Chakravarti's bad form and I mean Narayan is Narayan, right? So when you don't have those two guys, I think they're just backing themselves to score as much as they can in the first 20 overs.
So what was said at the toss about the spinners? I missed that. I was setting up another video.
Yeah, I think I'll also have a quick look because I was also just around. I had come back.
Oh, okay.
From outside.
All right, we'll catch up to that in a moment.
Yeah, I'll catch up to that.
It's a fascinating team for KKR. There's no doubt about this because it looks very, very
I'll tell you
odd.
what happens. Yeah, so Varun Chakravarti gets injured taking a catch in the last game and Sunil Narine
Which is funny because he almost never looks like taking a catch. Is it?
Correct.
Is a ball just guided through the slips for four? So Arshdeep got excited about that, but it was pretty much off the middle of the bat, really. And Narayan is sick. Is that what I'm reading here?
Correct.
So, I mean, they were already... I think I wrote in the last piece that they were in a situation where their two best bowlers were already not bowling like their two best bowlers. So the good news is they don't have to worry about that anymore. The bad news is they are going to have to get overs out of Vaibhav Arora, Tyagi, Navdeep Saini, Anukul Roy, Rovman Powell, Cameron Green, and who would they have on the bench here? Blessing Muzarabani will come in. Yeah. So a fascinating lineup from them.
Correct.
And then Punjab have Prabh Simran, Cooper, Shreyas. I'm trying to see if
it's
there's
the same
anyone
team
different.
for them, I believe.
Exactly the same team.
Yeah.
Exactly and they are bowling first, so Priyansh will come in as their sub, I would assume, later on.
Yeah.
The good news at the moment, though, for KKR is that they are making runs. A couple of fours here to start the game. So Arshdeep's gone for the big Yorker, and somehow Finn Allen's got this through his legs. The bad news for KKR is neither of the shots that have gone for four have been intentional so far. Or if that was intentional, it's one of the best shots I've ever seen, Shayan.
What about the guide? That's what I was going to ask you. If it's
the guide was on purpose. I don't know why you would guide past short third and slip, though. It seems like an unnecessary risk. But hey, this is full again, and Finn Allen times it. So he's going to be facing next over. And the score is, where are we here? 12 without loss. So they've got a good start on the scoreboard. It hasn't looked quite as pretty in a real time, but they are making their way there. So there is something to hold on to. But yeah, the bowling attack is, it is what it is.
Indeed. And so I think the main question has to be with them that they've got now, obviously, Blessing and Webb of Aurora are going to take the new ball for you. Saini is probably going to be the first change. But then is there not going to be there's a sort of overlap between Tyagi and Saini? That's what I was sort of worried about with this 4-pace attack.
I mean, mate, I think if that's your worry, I think the worry might be who's their best bowler in this game? Blessing, and then who's their second best bowler?
And that's a good question. I honestly don't have an answer to that.
I would say that is the bigger issue at the moment. That there is no, that is tricky, right?
Yeah. And even Blessing, we've talked about him, right? Like he's not IPL baton hardened just yet. He's done very well at international level and other leagues and everything. But playing in the IPL again, going against these batters with impact sub rules and flatter pitches and all of that, it's different gravy altogether. So if they want, they can take him on.
The market gives them a 43% chance of winning at the moment, KKR. And I think almost all of that is Finn Allen, who's just faced an incredible outswinger from Xavier Bartlett that he's played and missed out here.
Yeah, that was a good ball.
So yeah, I would assume that almost all the energy is on that so far. And let me just get the expected score up as well. So 12 without loss after 1.1. There's plenty of swing. The expected score is at 201 at the moment. Yeah, 201. Had a fun expected score in the Sunrisers game yesterday. So let's see how this goes. But Bartlett's coming in again. So most we've seen him move the ball. And Finn Allen plays potentially the worst shot I've ever seen. There could have been a run out, and then the ball was thrown into the bowler. And I wish I could explain that better, but I'm pretty sure what I just said is what happened. Let me try and unpack this ball for you. He goes across his crease, does Finn Allen, to flip this over his shoulder, but it's a terrible option, and he hits the ball straight up in the air. Somehow the wicketkeeper got nowhere near it. Finn Allen, for no reason at all, is just wandering out of his crease, completely confused. And then the keeper comes up and throws the ball into the spine of Xavier Bartlett, who has come down to take the catch. That is a thing that just happened in professional cricket in 2026, my friends. Maybe the worst cricket I've ever seen.
Rob would love that. As it was
just bad. And then Xavier Bartlett just bowls a lovely outswinger that beats the bat again.
Two plays and misses now in this over. And obviously the shot in the middle, I don't even know what to call it that. But his paces are slightly slower. Like he bowled 135, then 133, now 129. So it will be interesting to see if something's coming now.
Imagine that would have been the second stupid run out in 2 days after Nicholas Perrin's one yesterday. But instead, he's managed to not run himself out when he should have also been caught. Let's not forget that. That started with him being caught as well. All right. Just another incredible outswinger. This one might have got an edge. It has. He just got a little feather on that. Finn Allen was all over the place. This is the Xavier Bartlett at his absolute best. That ability to really move the ball around laterally. Yeah. And that one swung a long way. And Finn Allen, I mean, if you've been listening, he's been all over the shop pretty much from the beginning to the end here. And he did well to even get near that, I think. Too much swing for him early on. And he is gone. And that dips them down to a 38%. So the market still has a little bit of belief in KKR. I'm not sure why, but the market still has a...
So I wonder if Varun was around, he could tell us how much that ball actually swung. But dude, like that was a proper over. Like those 4 balls I really liked. And the funny thing is that Finn Allen was not in control on any of those. That is something, I mean, he plays a high volatile brand of cricket and he is usually aggressive, but still, I mean, 4 in a row does feel a bit odd, does it not? Especially when he's not got any of them away. I think even if he gets like an edge for 4, that changes things a little bit, but, in this case, he had to get bat on ball, I think, because of the player that he is.
Cameron Green's in. He's bouncing up and down like a toy at the moment. He's got an outswinger. He's edged this. It's 4 runs. I think they could go a second slip here. Instead, they went with short third. Yeah. It might have gone past the second slip. Well, when I say second slip, I mean more of a third slip, but might have gone past him anyway. But there's plenty of juice in this wicket at the moment. It's funny. The automatic line is like 200 runs for every game. And then the wickets are not backing this up at all at the moment.
I think with the Eden Gardens, you do get some help early on for fast bowling, do you not? So... I think that has to be factored in when you're, looking at what can happen early on in this game. You might, if you have a good pace attack like...
this could be out as well. He's pushed at this, and I think it's out. It's a good ball again from Xavier Bartlett. This one looked more like, it might have been swing, but it looked more like seam. It was a good nagging length. The other ones were big hooping out swingers. This one was more angled in, and Cameron Green has just pushed his hands at this ball and got a little edge, and... things are changing very, very quickly. Let's just have a look there. Oh, no, it was a little bit of swing. It was just started straighter. That's probably the best ball of the bunch, actually. And all Green could do was push it, a little edge, and 2 caught behind.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Well...
I mean, opening with Bartlett has clearly worked for them, right? Like, he got Samson also out the other day, and now 2 wickets in this over. And we were all thinking that probably Janssen is going to take the new ball and all of that sort of stuff. But clearly in this team, I think the role that they've given him is more of an enforcer, more of someone who can do the first change job and then, also bowl through the middle and death overs. But it will be interesting to see what happens now when Lockie Ferguson comes back, because that's what I was initially thinking. When Lockie comes back, he just replaces Bartlett immediately. But Bartlett so far is doing pretty well.
So I'll tell you, I'm just having a look at the market here, Sean. It's really funny. So they were a 47% chance of winning this game beforehand, which I think is way too high against Punjab, by the way. Arshdeep's coming into Rahane here, and this is pushed out in the offside. He'll take one. Then obviously the toss comes in, and we realize neither of them are playing. So that drops to 43%. We're now at 25% with both of these wickets. I just think that they're at best a 35 to 36% chance of winning this, even before they started losing wickets. But the market is falling out of love with them very, very quickly. And expected runs, which I did have in front of me 2 seconds ago, has gone from 200 to 174. So that's dropped quite a bit as well. Negative Spectrum says, Alan has never been in the flat pitch blind Sogra allegations like this. This is where I think people get a little bit confused, right? Let's say Bartlett bowled the exact same way, doesn't get the edge, the ball stops swinging, right? And then Allen starts smashing him everywhere. You're not even going to remember that he's missed a bunch of balls early on. So it's one of those things. I think people get really excited about this. We don't even know what kind of pitch this is yet. We've only had about 12, 15 balls hit it. But the ball was swinging, and he was trying to hit it very hard into the stands. And if he'd done that once or twice, it would have stopped swinging. That's how Finn Allen plays. That's the style. I'd be much more worried about Cameron Green's shot, really. That was a very nervy push early on. What else we got here? Kartik says, watch Jared made a Safra this season. Really like him so far. I think they've got to work out exactly where they want him to bat, what position. But if you can have him, Brevis, and Dubé in that middle order, they're not going to make the playoffs or anything. But in the future, that looks like a really nice little setup for me.
Yeah. With that, I feel like they will have to manage the entry points. Like, at what point are they going to send in these guys? Let's say this is your 4, 5, 6. You don't want Brevis batting too low at times, or sometimes you don't. You also want to utilize Sarfraz's batting, and Dubé also, we know that he's a certain type of batter. Like, he's a proper role player in his own sense. Very good at that, but he's also not someone who is he's not like a, how do I explain it? You want him to bat in certain situations. You can't just send Dubé out in the power play, for instance, can you? That's what they did yesterday as well. They didn't send Dubé out.
No, so I think, you just have to be clever with the way that you use them, but it's a nice problem to have.
Rob also said one more thing, just before that. Rob said one more thing yesterday, that he thought, he was happy for Sarfraz's 50 and everything, but he thought that was the easiest 50 scored that he has seen, because RCB were bowling absolute pies to him. They had basically won the game by that point by taking the 3 early wickets, so
but
it will be interesting to see when there is juice in the game, what does he do?
The first game, though. He batted well in the first game.
And the second game. The 32 of 12 was also really impressive.
So it's not just yesterday's
No, of course. I fully agree with you.
Amigo, the next one comes in as left here. Amigo says, why does Jared always miss the match of the greatest franchise, Gujarat? I haven't missed any of them. I've seen all of the games. I just haven't broadcast all of them. I think I was commentating for the first one, Amigo, on TalkSport. So I'm in, what's today, Monday? Yeah, I'm in commentating on TalkSport tomorrow, so I won't be on the Watchalong again. But no, I haven't missed
You're wearing the jersey. Take that as a win.
More to do with the fact that it's the jersey that was closest to me, and I realized I had a stain on my t-shirt. Asian Frat Boy says, is Australia's support of Cooper Connolly them wishcasting him to eventually be Jacob Bethel? Does he just end up being this generation's Ashton Agar? Cooper Connolly's a weird one, because I think for a long period of time I thought he was a batter and everyone else thought he was a bowler. And I think that he's already a much more talented batter than, someone like Ashton Agar is. Easily. But if he's going to be a really good cricketer, like where Jacob Bethel's going to be a batter, I'm not sure he'll ever be a bowler. But that's a little bit different, I think, from that perspective when it comes to Connolly. Connolly maybe can bowl a little bit more. So I think you can compare him to Bethel. I think there's comparisons. I think they're just slightly different cricketers at the moment. I think Cooper Connolly's got a much higher ceiling as a bowler, and Bethel has a much higher ceiling as a batter. But they're both interesting. I don't think he's going to be Ashton Agar.
I definitely agree. Also think he likes batting in the top order. So whenever he's had success in the Big Bash too, I know he had a few bad games, but he started the Big Bash season with a lot of runs in the top order, and then he had a few bad games. They moved him down. He played down the order for Australia. I don't think that lower order role suits him. When I watched his batting against Gujarat, he seemed like a proper batter to me, like someone who is legit, who is going to stay, and who has like proper cricketing shots.
I think part of the
according to me.
problems that Bethel has had is the same as what Connolly will have, is when you come through as an all-rounder, you end up
Yeah.
just bouncing around the order everywhere. Whereas actually,
Exactly.
as I've always said with Bethel, my biggest issue with Bethel is he doesn't even know what kind of T20 batter he wants to be yet, because he hasn't stayed in one position for more than 5 minutes, right? And so, he doesn't know what he's best suited to. He hasn't worked out his game. And I think similar things might happen with Cooper Connolly. It's a beautiful ball by Bartlett here, just defended back up the wicket. Very, very interesting. Roll says, is TalkSport commentary available in India? It's on YouTube, but it might be geo-blocked. I'm not sure. I don't know about the rights restrictions.
Not sure about the IPL actually. I feel like it's for some Test cricket or at some point I definitely remember commentary.
No.
on
There
YouTube
have
for
been things
TalkSport.
that have been international, but
Yeah.
I don't know about
Correct.
the IPL. It
Yeah,
might
not sure
might
about
be
the
rights
IPL, yeah.
restricted. A Smith says the jersey look really good. Yeah, it's a good one. I don't know. I actually haven't worn many of them. I don't really like wearing jerseys under hoodies, and during most of the year in the UK, I'm wearing a hoodie. Abe says, Cheyenne, you were right. Peter May has to be in the top 50 list, and also Compton. Jared, please listen to him. Is that what you said, Peter May?
I don't think I had Compton in my top 50. That I'm confident about. Peter May too. I don't think Peter May was my guy for top 50. I feel like I wanted Yusuf. I really wanted Yusuf in the top 50, and I managed to get Jared convinced for that.
I'm
That
still
is
not
what I can
convinced. I don't think Yusuf will stay in the top 50.
Yeah, I managed to convince you for Yusuf. I think at least for the list. I don't know if you're still convinced, but yeah, I think Yusuf was my guy at that point, if I remember correctly.
Peter May, just a reminder for everyone, averages 35 on the road in Test match cricket.
Yeah, that was the
That's
issue, right?
basically the main reason. Me
can
and
look
Sean
at
both
his
loved
match
him,
factor
but
as
he's
well.
not a top 50 batter of all time. And Compton, I think, averages 36 away from home, right?
Similar
Neither,
trend, I think, for him as well.
yeah, neither of them made any runs away from home. So,
But I think May was really crucial in the 50s for them, if I'm not wrong. When
I
the
don't think he was
wickets
a
were
bad
quite-
player at all. I think
Yeah.
he's a fantastic batter, but I don't think either of them really justified playing as Bartlett
50
is coming
spot.
back up for his third. This one's chipped into the leg side for no run. But Compton averages 36 away from home in 31 Test matches.
I look up his match factor as well.
They just didn't make the runs when it comes down to it.
Match factor of 1.08. 8% better than the top 6 batters in his games. So it's fine.
Compton's
looks better,
fascinating.
but-
Compton made 5,800 runs in Test cricket, and
Yeah.
almost 4,000 of those are in England.
Yeah. For
Really,
him, the match factor is how much? 0.97 match factor.
Yeah.
3% worse than the other top 6 batters in his games.
yeah. I think Compton. I'm just having a look now. Averaged 34 in England. 34 in Australia. 36 in New Zealand. Have we got rain? Are we coming off?
Yeah,
we
yeah.
do have rain.
do have
We'll
rain.
continue this discussion, and we'll see how much more we want to talk about these things. We have Dennis Compton averaged 33.5 in Australia, 36 in New Zealand, 36 in South Africa, and the only country he made any runs, and I think it was only from one series, is the West Indies, where he averaged 50, probably just before their bowling attack gets very good, although I'd have to go back and have a look. It's hard to make a case that you're one of the greatest 50 batters of all time if you don't make any runs away. And we discounted heaps of Australian batters for the exact same reason. Right?
Exactly.
Warner is one. Some of the other guys as well. Clark is another one. There's a lot of players that we looked at and we were like, if you can't make runs away from home, it's a little bit trickier. So
VVS as well to an extent, I would say. Like, I know he makes runs overseas, but he also had the issue of, batting at 5 and, not making... Like, in a batting era, his numbers didn't pop as much as some of the other guys.
Yeah, and that's the
we
other thing as
missed out
well.
lots of great players, right?
Yeah, there's lots of players who made runs, but they made runs in eras where everyone made runs.
Yeah.
And so unless they really made runs, it was harder to work that out. But anyway, you can find my book with Cheyenne's research, The Art of Batting, wherever you get books. Where are we here? Kartik says, is Sarfaraz CSK's best bet to maximize the power play?
I think it's Matre.
Yeah,
Just
I
let
worry
him
about
lose.
Matre long term, but that's a different... Matre or Oval probably going to open. I would have Sarfaraz at first drop unless they lose a wicket in the first 3 overs.
Okay. Yeah, I
If
can.
they lose a wicket in their first 3 overs, I'd want to see someone to come out
Gaikwad?
and just make sure that he doesn't nick off before the spinners come in.
How would you, would you still go with the opening pair that they have, Samson and Gaikwad, or would you change that up?
I don't know if I'd have Gaikwad in my side.
In your side, that's the same thing which Rob said. That I'm not so sure about. I just don't think they have enough quality without Gaikwad. I mean, they still need him. I know he has not made any runs so far in the 3 games, but I wouldn't dismiss Gaikwad just yet. But I also think he should not be opening. He should be batting at 3. And you really need to let Matre go loose in the power play. Dude, do you remember that game the other day which we were covering? And he was slogging everything, like everything. And even the strike rate did not justify it. And the day it comes off, I'm telling you, against pace, this guy he's really good. And he's still very raw, right? When he develops and gets really good, I think what's happening now is, even when you see some of the newer blokes who are coming onto the scene, the young, like even the teenagers or some of the young batters, in in the level of cricket just below the SMAT, so like the state leagues, they're all striking very high, like in the 180s or in the 200s. So they all know now that this is the memo. I mean, they have to all score really, really fast.
Andy says there's been more new ball movement than usual, and for longer this IPL. Has it helped swing bowlers more than seam bowlers? I would say I haven't seen a lot of seam movement. I wouldn't say I've seen a lot of swing movement though. Like today was a abnormal day. I noted it down in my notes, so that tells you that it was probably swinging a little bit more than usual.
The Rajasthan and Chennai game also it swung a bit, I thought.
Which game was that?
The one where Gaikwad and Samson both got out early, and they had Berger who seamed the ball from like leg stump to hit the off stump.
That was seam though.
Yeah, but then that was seam. Yeah, true. That was not seam.
No, there's a couple of games. Khalil's swung the ball a couple of times. Jofra.
Yeah, even the game yesterday, the RCB Chennai game, I thought first 3 overs on either side, the ball was doing a bit. RCB didn't lose wickets, then they dropped the catch as well, and Chennai lost 3. I think that was sort of the deciding factor. So I think it depends from wicket to wicket. I feel like Chinnaswamy, Mullanpur, and Eden Gardens early on, you have to be a bit careful. Like the ball can move around a bit, and do something to make it tough for you, or either swing or seam. But there is something in it, I feel, in those two. Also, with the weather conditions and everything, things might always change, right?
Yeah. No, I think that's definitely the case. But yeah, I haven't thought that. But it's funny that we're already saying, are the wickets doing more? About a week ago, I was told that the par score was 240. So
these narratives change very fast, Jared.
It's funny that. Rohit says, this is why small sample sizes don't mean anything, guys.
Yeah, I think we need to wait at least for
in 3 years' time, we'll be able to tell you if it swung in this game. Rohit says, not picking Sangha and Mahela as number 1 duo. Come on, Jared. No, I would definitely have Courtney and Courtney as the number 1 duo of all time.
Was this for a quick picks you guys did recently?
I have no idea actually what this was. I know that people keep bringing it up because I've had people message me. I can't even remember when we had this chat, so I don't know if it was on live.
I don't think I was on this one.
Yeah, so I can't even remember what it was. I mean, I've done so many of those. Actually, it might have been a TalkSport episode. I can't remember.
Oh yeah. Now I remember. Yes.
Yeah.
There was something there.
Correct. I've said this from the start. Courtney and Curly are the most iconic duo.
McGrath Warren?
No, I don't even have McGrath Warren as a duo.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't see them as a duo.
Fair.
I said basically. I think when you say the name McGrath, do you automatically think Warren?
No.
Okay, so when you say Walsh, do you automatically think Ambrose?
I get.
That's what a duo is for me, right? So, Greenwich and Haynes, it's like you could say Greenwich and think of Haynes, but maybe not have it at the front of your mind. If you say Haynes, you automatically think Greenwich, right?
Yeah, that is true.
If I say Kumar, I don't automatically think Mahela, right? They're not far away. They're definitely in the conversation. If I say Mahela, I think Kumar a little bit stronger, right? So, that's the way that I look at a duo, is if you literally think of them in the same, Kobe and Shaq, right? If you think of them instantly in the same conversation as each other, whereas you probably wouldn't say that Jordan and Pippen were the same kind of duo because there was always a Horace Grant or a Dennis Rodman in the broader conversation, right? So Steph and Clay is an incredible duo if you just look at numbers in basketball. But actually, if you look at it from a holistic point of view, KD and Jimmy Butler and, all these other guys have been around, right? So I think when I'm thinking of duos, it has to be really, really specific for me. I think what we're going to do, Sean, being that it is raining, is we are going to play the power list. And then on the back of that, we will play one of our the
Punjab Kings.
The Punjab Kings team, the podcast. We'll be back in about half an hour if it hasn't rained to do some more chatting just about this tournament. Me and John have plenty of different things that we should be talking about. But for right for now, being that it is raining and the entire ground is under covers, and at the moment...
They do have good drainage, Jared. Let's keep that in mind.
Yeah, but it's still going to take a long time to get the covers off.
Yeah.
And if it hasn't, if the covers are on, Cheyenne, I can here's a lesson for you as a young cricket writer. If the covers are on, it's still raining, right? so that's the first thing, like, to have a look at. At the moment, KKR have had a shocking start. They've got injuries, they've got illnesses, they've got not got their fast bowlers. Finn Allen's already out. Cameron Green has joined him. So of their first 3 overseas players, 3 of them are no longer playing any impact on this game. Realistically, they're 25 for 2 after not many overs.
3.4.
Where are we in the 4th over?
Yeah, 3.4 overs, I believe.
3.4 overs. As I said, they're about a 20% chance of winning. So Punjab look well on top. So if you're a Punjab fan, you really want to get back out on the ground and go there. But we're going to have a probably 20 to 25 minute break here. If there's any update or it looks like the cricket's going to come back and be played again, we will race back in. But for now, why don't you enjoy the IPL Power List, which I just did last night. So it's fresh, it's tasty, it's available for you. Then we'll have a Punjab podcast. Then we'll come back and we'll do another chat here on Combox. We love the game, but we love the stories. Fans have stories. Former players have stories. Journalists have stories as well. Combox brings them all together. The game lives on. Our rankings, where we try to make sense of all the early games. It's not a points table, it's a vibes table, where we look at the strength of schedule, injuries, and form to make up a list of the best and worst teams in roughly that order. This video is brought to you by our supporters on Patreon. If you want to be part of the community that makes content like this, head over now. RCB. Last week, they bowled well against the Sunrisers and then batted even better. They smashed the hell out of CSK as well, but 2 home games. Having said that, they look fantastic so far. When it comes to good things, runs. So many runs. 5 guys currently have a top score over 48, and 4 of them are striking it better than 170. It's looking lovely so far. But as they line up, the 5th bowler still worries me just a little bit. But then again, that's the same for almost every team in the league. Their road ahead, on form, they have 2 tough games coming up, and both literally on the road against RR and Mumbai. We'll get a better idea of them then, and they've had 2 soft games to begin. Delhi's last week is 2 from 2. The LSG win was wild after they lost those early wickets. They then played on a wicket that suited them. I rated them high coming in, but they're looking pretty good right at the moment. In terms of what's hot, Samir Rizvi is the king of the catch-up inning so far. Twice he's been the impact sub who's come in cold and ended hot. I also like that their home wicket completely suited their bowling. When it comes to being cold though, they are losing a few too many early wickets, but to be honest, that's nitpicking. Their road ahead has 2 games against teams that are not firing yet. They might hit the RCB match with 4 wins on the trot. MI were the favourite of this tournament coming in, and they played pretty well against KKR, although I'm not sure why it took them to the last over to win that game. But DC shook them on a tricky wicket when they made no runs. As far as hot, their opening partnership looks fun. High intent Rohit with a Rickleton who can bat for ages now. I like this pairing quite a bit. As far as cool, they haven't quite assembled themselves correct yet. Hardik's injury in the last game was an injury, Santner not being available, dropping Bolt. It's all a bit iffy. And Makande has 3 overs in 2 games for 36 runs. Some of this may depend on Hardik being fit, because these are 2 good teams. Maybe them winning their first game has jinxed them this time, but they could end up at 2-2 after 4, which I suppose for Mumbai is still a good start. Punjab are 2 from 2, baby. I like them coming in. Their first game was a weird chase, but they had the match in control. Second match was against CSK, so in present form, not that impressive, but it's a great start to the season. Yuzi Chahal is hot. Is this his renaissance? He's looked good so far, at the very least. Marco Janssen has bowled well also, and add Vishak to that. If they can get something out of Arshdeep, this is a fantastic attack. However, the batting has not quite come together yet. Priyansh, Arya and Cooper Connolly have saved them. I'm not sure this looks like a team who can regularly hit 220 either. Coming up, they're against KKR, who are a mess, and Sunrisers, who are not firing either. So this feels like a good time to play both. And 4-0 after 3 road games is good. But this is the softest part of their schedule. Rajasthan beat an ordinary CSK at home, and then it was a bit of a weird one against Gujarat. They won and lost that match several times. It was a bit of a coin toss. But Ravi Bishnoi is very hot. He had a down year last season. He took 9 wickets in 11 games. He currently has 5 in 2. But even in the first one, he looked like he was putting good revs on the ball and bowling at a faster speed than normal. I'm not sure this is a negative or not, but their bowling is currently doing a lot better than it looks on paper. In fact, it's not a negative, but it's worth watching. Coming up, if they are really good, we will know a lot more about them in the next 2 games. They're going up against the 2 favourites in the tournament, at home though, and it should give us a good idea. Even splitting those games with Sunrisers to follow, they should be annoyed if they aren't 4-1. Gujarat lost 2 games against decent informed teams, but they also haven't been a million miles away. I'm not ready to throw them out just yet. Rashid Khan has looked in nice touch at the moment, and they would certainly take that. And Prashid Krishna is very good when they remember to bowl him. The biggest issue is they don't hit 6s. They hit loads of 4s, which in modern cricket is starting to look more like an issue, especially as the bowling is not currently in great form. I think their main issue coming up is that they have 2 road games now, and one of them is in Delhi. They could easily get to 1 and 3 here. The good news is that their schedule gets easy for the last 3 games. They actually have an oddly tough schedule this year. Lucknow can just throw away the game against DC, but the Sunrisers match was weird. They were well on top before allowing a massive partnership. Then they got the easy chase, which somehow with little pressure from the bowlers made it to 9 from 6 needed in the last over. Mohammad Shami looks like sex on a stick at the moment. However, it also looks like he almost has to be for them to win any games. It's noticeable how slow they're scoring right now. Nothing to worry about too much because they have plenty of power, but we've not quite seen it. Coming up for them is actually not that tough a run, so getting to 2 and 2 seems possible from here. Their 3 games after that, though, are killer, so they really have to win their next 2. Sunrisers are 1 and 2. The RCB match can be explained, but if they want to push for the playoffs, going 50-50 against KKR and LSG is not ideal. Also, when is their batting actually going to turn up? But Nitesh Kumar Reddy has been outstanding so far. 2 really important knocks and a decent spell in there. They're using him with the new ball. They're actually asking him to do everything, and to be fair, he's giving it a go. When you look at their negatives, obviously it should be about their bowling. But what about wickets when they bat? They are losing 8.66 wickets a game so far. It worked against KKR, but the wickets are hobbling their main skill. Coming up, their season could almost be over in the next 2 games. 2 informed, confident teams. If they split them and are 2 and 3, I think they're still breathing. I thought KKR might struggle this year, and so far, they have struggled this year. They really haven't been in either of their matches so far. To be fair, Finn Allen looks scary if he could stay in slightly longer, and Raghavanshi has 2 50s in each game at a decent clip. When it comes to the negatives though, we could list quite a bit. But their 2 best bowlers are Varun Chakravarti and Sunil Narayan, and at the moment, they have a wicket between them and are going at nearly 2 runs a ball combined. Both have been high-scoring games, but this is the heart of their bowling, and right at the moment, it's made out of 10. If you have lost both your games, what you want is 2 matches at home and a game against CSK. Winning all 3 seems hopeful, but I suppose 2 is possible. CSK have played in 3 matches, and coincidentally, that is also how many they have lost. They might have come 3rd in all 3 games. But Sarfaraz Khan is going nuts so far. It's like it's 2015 all over again. Was it actually that long ago? Yeah. If they can match him up with Brevis and Dubé, there's a really interesting middle that they can form there. But they are just a mess. If I listed all their issues right now, I would run out of inches on the internet. But their top order are struggling. However, they have also taken 9 wickets in 3 matches. 5 of them are to Kambodge, who is going at 11.43 runs per over. Coming up, they could easily be 0-4 before playing KKR. I think the year is over already. And I kind of felt that way last year. That leaves us with RCB and Delhi Capitals at the top. I still have Mumbai pretty high, even with their loss ahead of 2 unbeaten teams, partly because I think they are that good, but also the Hardik injury. But I've also kept GT up without a win, because on paper, they should be better than this. But CSK have truly earned their spot at the end. And look, we're only a week in, so it's tricky to really make sense of this. Except for CSK, they do look like us. If you enjoyed the power list, we try and do this as much as possible all the way through the season, so please like, subscribe, and as always, tell your mum about us. Sometimes, do you scream because of how much you love cricket? Well, then here's another video for you. Or if you like books, you can buy mine, The Art of Batting. And if this video is for you, howl into the bell icon.
Welcome to Combox Live, where the game lives on. I have with me Varun Alvaconda and Paul Valthati, who during the nighttime dresses up as Rob Barron, or during the daytime dresses up as Rob Barron and does some trading and betting on the side. And his superhero persona is obviously Paul Valthati. So, and the reason why that is so is because we are going to pick an all-time 11 of Punjab Kings, which includes their Kings 11 Punjab avatar, of course. This was great fun to narrow down on, and I can't wait to see who we all pick. I'll just quickly recap the rules. While we are picking the players, only their performances for the Punjab Kings count. So they could have been elite elsewhere, but that does not count. Or they could have been bad elsewhere, but if they were good for Punjab Kings, that's the performance that counts. And we are taking a minimum of 15 games played, so that they've played roughly at least one season. And it's standard IPL rules of just 4 overseas players. And we are not picking an impact sub. We are picking 12 players, but it'll be a team of 11 and a 12th man. And yeah, so I think that covers it, unless you guys have anything to add. What did you do for research for while narrowing down your list of names?
Oh, this was a fun team to narrow down, right? Because it's, what do you call it? If any other team we mess up the, what do you call it, the picks, it's wrong. But messing up the picks is perfectly suited for what Punjab Kings have done since the start of the inception. So it fits perfectly. This is actually the episode we needed Behram to fuck something up, actually.
Yeah, I found it quite hard. I mean, I watch Paul Valtati's 100 every morning over breakfast, and I have a life-size tattoo of Paul Valtati on my back. So that's my Punjab preparation. I thought it was easy enough, although I initially put Harshal Patel in because his one season was amazing, but it wasn't 15 games. I don't think. I think it was only 14. So I had to take him out. But I thought that season was that good that I would have put him in just for that season. So he was very close for me. But there's loads of random names for Punjab when you look back and you go through every year, and I love that. You're like, I forgot Luke Pommersbach was a man, and I forgot that he played for them. He's not in my team because Paul Valhati is going to do all his heavy lifting for him. But yeah, I love Punjab. Always have, always will. They get madder and madder every year, and hoping for more of the same this year.
Yeah, so so the pick order is going to be Saurabh, Varun, and then Rob, and then of course Rob, Varun, Saurabh. So I'll start us off. There was no obvious first pick for me in all the names that I shortlisted, but I'm okay. Yes, I mean I had to leave Paul Valthati for you, Rob. So there was no other obvious first pick, but so I'm going with the one that was most obvious amongst the rest, which is Akshar Patel.
Yeah.
He was, and he played for a considerable amount of time with them. He had great success with the ball. In fact, his breakout season was with Punjab. I think 2014 was his debut, and he wasn't really well known then at all. Sanjay Bangar was the coach then, and I remember he picked him up. That was the first year where uncapped players were part of the IPL auction, and Punjab had actually assembled an exciting team in 2014, which they took a long time to replicate to assemble another exciting team, which I think they did somewhat in 2022.
I
in
would
the mega
disagree
auction.
with you. They're exciting every season, just not good. There's a big difference there.
That's fair.
Like,
Okay,
what was
yeah,
it, 20,
that's fair.
2024? They were by some distance the most fun team to watch.
Right. They had assembled a team that was capable of winning, let's put it that
Yes,
way, and playing
that's
exciting cricket in 2014. Their only weakness was they didn't have a spinner, and Akshar just stepped up, beautifully. So yeah, Akshar is my first pick.
I don't know if this is shit housing it, but I'm taking Shreyas Iyer.
Oh, I really wanted
Easy.
him in the 11. I'm
Yeah.
glad you also took him.
Yeah. It's like, who else are we picking for this team in the middle order, right? There's not a lot of obvious Indian batters you can pick at 3, I think. There's a couple of openers.
Yeah.
But yeah, like Shreyas's last season was incredible. I do think the cult of Shreyas Iyer is a bit too culty for my liking. It's like, I'm like, you can't just forget that he did have a go at India. He wasn't very good for India or in the IPL up to that point. Like, so it's just one season. If he does this again, I'm joining the cult. I will say that. Right?
You're joining me in the cult. I'm in the cult.
Exactly.
Yeah, our WhatsApp group's the cult, isn't it? Really. You can't ignore those numbers though. Like 175 strike rate and 39 a game or something. That'll do. 35 over 35 an innings is what he got. It's only 17 though, so sample size isn't like, you can't call him a great for Punjab yet. But on the evidence of what he's done for him so far, he got in my 11. And I don't really like the recency bias thing when you're doing all-time 11s, but you can't ignore those numbers when you're looking at somebody to bat, I don't know, 4, I guess, in this team. He stands out, doesn't he?
Yeah.
So I can save Wout Halley for later. Don't forget his bowling, though. It's hard to pick somebody in an all-time 11 for a team when he's only really done it in one innings. And he did get dropped several times in that innings. But it was great, and it's probably my favourite cricket innings, never mind IPL, that knock. I'm not going to pick him here, right? Because so I'm sure one of you want to say his name later. I looked through and when it became like it's how they did for Punjab, not who are the best players they've had and who do you like the most, because that is obviously Paul Hattie, but KL's numbers are ludicrous for Punjab. They are mental, and I think he won the orange cap for them, didn't he? And he's got 2,500 runs for Punjab. He's striking at 140, which is absolutely good enough when you compare it to all the others, considering Gale's strike rate for them is 143, right? So he's scoring at 140. He's scoring in the 55 games, he's got 110 sixes, KL, right? You wouldn't think that. He's getting 2 sixes a game. These are mental numbers. And his runs per innings, 46.4. That is Kohli numbers, runs per innings, 46. So on weight of numbers alone, say what you want about KL, he walks into the all-time 11 as the opener for Punjab.
And the keeper probably, right? I don't know if we have other keepers, but yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
there is one we could I have in mind. But KL, like all of those 2,500 runs, I think there was like a sharp divide, right? Like there were some of those runs that were absolutely elite, and there were some that actually harmed his team more than.
What was it? It's either 90 or 40 or like 40 or 40, right? There was nothing in between there.
Yeah, exactly. But is that your pick, Rob?
Yeah,
KL is your
KL all day long for me, all day.
Nice.
You have one more now.
Oh, I go again. So
yeah.
I thought the other opener was really hard, so I'll leave that. I'll leave that to you guys. And I think Miller's too easy to pick. It probably gets in everybody's team. Somebody I did look at for like another overseas, but I'm not going to nick an overseas pick, was Azam Mahmood. I thought he was great back in the day. His numbers were very, very good. I think it's easier to have a good economy, 50 years ago when the IPL started, when he was bowling. But he got a lot of wickets. 29 in 22 is pretty good, but not him. Irfan Pathan was my guy for
I had him.
Yeah, yeah, I
Um,
had.
I think he has to be. I think just
Yeah.
as an all-rounder who you can rely on to be a good player for your team, his numbers, his batting numbers aren't great. Strike rate 130-ish, 17 runs in innings, but he's going to bat 8 in this team, isn't he? So
Yeah.
that's fine. And he got more than a wicket a game for Punjab at an economy of better than 8. That's good, right? That's a good effort.
Yeah.
He's dangerous at the start with the ball. If it was moving, he was very dangerous, and he could do it in multiple phases. Really, really good cricketer. And considering the era that he played in, his batting was pretty good actually to tonk it at 130 odd, and bowling more than good enough. And I think as a number 8 that can bowl pace, I think all-time Punjabis in my 11. So he's my second guy, Irfan.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think Irfan.
Yeah. That was it. Like,
Yeah,
I think the dumbest parts of this is like this is already more balanced than the RCB 11 that we did yesterday. So, which like the fact that Punjab is more balanced than RCB, looking at the history of both teams, is hilarious to me.
It's more balanced but less elite, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah.
No, and
That's me is-
Irfan, like you said, yeah, his numbers don't pop maybe as much, but just by the virtue of being decent at both, he just offers the team so much balance and flexibility, and he did it for a fair few years.
Yeah, I actually was looking at the advanced numbers. They hold up. I think he's just the negatively remembered because of the Dhoni innings, which helps CSK qualify. So I do think that plays a part with Irfan. But yeah, I really like him in this team. So I will go for a man that has been on the news a lot recently, Liam Livingston.
Yeah.
He was in mine.
He was in my long list. I was not sure whether he would make the 4 foreigners cut, but yeah.
I mean, his record's incredible for Punjab, isn't it? It's the one team where credit to Punjab, they used him better than what England or any other IPL franchise team have.
Yeah.
I think they gave him
Yeah.
responsibility at number 4, and then what was it? His strike rate is averaging over 30, he's striking at 174 for Punjab. I'd take that. Give me that any day of the week in this team, right?
2 sixes in innings as well. 66s in 30 knocks. That'll do. Like we've got. There are multiple players that have scored 2 sixes in innings for Punjab, and that's really, really good. And you definitely need that now. But all time, yeah, Livingston was my number 5 in this team. Where did you put him, Varun?
I had him at 4 or 5, one of those two.
I thought Shreyas Iyer is 4. So then
I had him at
maybe
3
he has-
for now. I don't know.
At 3.
So we can always move around if there's people, right?
Yeah.
It's you,
okay.
isn't it, sir? We got 2.
Oh, it's to me. I've got 2. Okay, so my first one, I'll go for the bowler. Will be Arshdeep Singh.
Nice.
He's also he's obviously been a long time Punjab guy. He got his first break with Punjab, similar to Akshar in the sense that his performances there helped him get into the Indian team, and he was one of the few players who has been retained by Punjab. They generally have not tended to retain a lot of players come mega auction time because they've always been so bad. They're going for like a full change every mega auction. But Arshdeep was one of the few they had retained. I think Mayank Agarwal and Arshdeep were the two that in 2022. 25, of course, they didn't retain him, but they bought him back for the same price as they would have if they had retained him, which was 18 crore. And of course, Arshdeep has been generally good quality for them. I think he has been better for India than Punjab overall, but that's also because I think Punjab he started off with, right? So when he was young and raw, there he had more up and down seasons, but his recent numbers must be, I don't know, I haven't looked at the advanced numbers in that granular detail, but this is just what I think.
Yeah, I think even now, recently, he's been much better for India than he has for Punjab for some reason. I can't make sense of why that is, but yeah.
Yeah. But I have to pick one more.
baby.
I could actually throw some stuff off by picking this guy. So just for chaos, I'm thinking I'll go Prabh Singh for opening.
What's a pick that is?
Yeah. So the thing is, Prabh has also been with Punjab for quite a while. And if I'm picking an opener right now, who would I rather have? Prab or any of the others who have done it for them?
And I get your point there. That's a fair argument.
But I mean, yeah, that might leave less space for some of the others. But let's see. And he can keep. That was my thing. Like, you know, he's a guy who
Okay.
can keep and give you that. And maybe you need someone like Prab Simran if KL Rahul is going to open.
Okay. I think that's fair. Is it me next?
Yeah, it's back to you, Varun.
We've gone long enough. I'll go David Miller.
Okay.
I think it had to be, right? It had to be
Yeah.
Miller. Someone had to go him.
Someone
Yeah.
had to pick him. Yeah.
I think
Yeah,
he's a brilliant player. He's so good, isn't he? Like, especially early season. I think in the middle, he does stink a bit for Punjab, but yeah. 2013 and 2014, he was ridiculously good. That 100 of RCB is one of the best innings I've ever seen live when I'm watching. They went from being so far behind and they win with like 2 overs remaining, which is one of the craziest things you'll ever see.
Yeah. That was the
Rob,
innings
any
you were
thoughts?
talking about, Rob.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was in my team. I think his turbo mode is frightening, but also like he was there back in the day, wasn't he? Like, it was a long time ago, and he had to deal with some proper rubbish around him. You know, when like Vora wasn't much cop and Mandeep was chewing lots of balls and putting loads of pressure on him. That was a regular occurrence. That Mandeep was kind of scoring at what was his Punjab career, 120 or something. Mandeep, and he played loads of games in loads of positions. Mandeep. And sometimes Miller had to kind of be doubly good because of, you know, Punjab was so crap at the time. I remember one season, I think Miller got the most runs for them from like number 7 or something, which never happens. You know, your number 7 never gets the most runs across a season, but Miller did it. He was an auto pick for me, even though, you know, he's only striking at sub 140. In today's era, you wouldn't say that was great for essentially your finisher, but he was a lot more than that for Punjab back in the day, wasn't he? He had to build innings and then smoke it. So I think his numbers don't jump off the page like some of the other guys do. But yeah, fine. He's always in the Punjab 11. I don't argue with that one. I don't agree with Prab though. I wouldn't have picked him.
You would have picked
Yeah,
him.
same.
Okay.
No.
I think if you wanted to go insane, just go Sehwag, bro.
No, but so he didn't do that well for Delhi as he did for. He didn't do as well for Punjab as he did for Delhi, is what I thought.
1 second.
So I wanted to get Sehwag in, but Sehwag only got. I wrote his numbers down somewhere. He didn't get enough. His numbers aren't good enough
Yeah,
for
fair.
me to have picked him. I love Sehwag. You know, I absolutely adore the guy. And I know there's like a couple of Chris Gale pictures here, signed Gale pictures, but I've also got 2 of one other person, and it's Sehwag up there somewhere. He's my hero, but you can't pick him in your all time. If you're going to pick another opener, I think you probably pick Gale, because even though he's not at his peak for Punjab, he's still got 33 in innings, and he's still struck at 143, and he's still got 2.256 a game or something for Punjab. That's what I want from my openers. Whereas Prab is in this day and age, right? The explosive, mega super intent on the highways that we're playing in the IPL now, and he's only getting 25 in innings. And sure, he's what does he score at 150 or something? I don't think he's quite done it yet. I think he's sort of he's had 1 or 2 really good innings, but I don't think he's done it for a long enough time for me to pick him ahead of Chris Gale. Like I would have picked Gale instead of him. But I
mean,
get
to
it.
be fair, he is averaging 28 at a strike rate of 155 when he's open for Punjab. So that's actually a lot better than I remember. I think
Yeah,
I thought that
he's
was like
not
a sub
good.
25.
He's
Yeah,
been
I'd
around
take it actually.
for a long time, actually.
That's true. I think the other thing, Rob, is like because Gale and KL are both slow starters, you'd want someone like a fast starter to pair up with KL. Because
That
it's a
was
very
my
strong middle
thinking.
order. Right.
And what's wrong with Arya then? If you just want explosive at the top,
As in, my
I
reasoning
wouldn't
was
want
that
him up
Prab
against
has-
pace that early. I think that's the other thing with Shreyas.
no, Arya.
Arya,
Shreya-
oh, okay.
Yeah, Priyansh Arya.
Priyansh Arya,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
okay.
because he outsmokes Prab. He's 180, isn't he, at the top?
Has he
Yeah,
played
but
with
he's
them?
just done it for one
Oh, he's
season,
just-
and
that's true.
Prab has been around for like 4 seasons with them. So
That's fair.
I suppose if you look at it, he's played over 50 games now for Punjab. That's quite a lot. Anyway, you've picked him, and I'm not allowed to kick him out of the team. But obviously, like we're picking the understudy to Paul Valthati for all these batting positions. I think I messed up my top 3 a bit because I didn't have anybody who tees it from ball 1, and you definitely need one of those if you're picking a proper team. I just couldn't get Sehwag again. I couldn't justify it.
That's true. I didn't have it.
it's Rob's turn, right? So I think before Rob makes his picks, we'll just take a short break and then be back.
100 years ago, something truly remarkable happened in cricket. No one knew how to get Bradman out. And so, some of the smartest minds in English cricket got together in a smoke-filled room at Lord's, and they talked it out. It is no different than you talking with your uncle, with you whispering at the back of the bus, with you sitting around in the tea room arguing with your friends. This is what we do in cricket. We love the game, we talk about the game. And that is what we do at Combox, where the game lives on.
Hello and welcome back to Combox. We have picked, I think, how many have we picked so far? We've picked 8 guys,
7.
and
I thought it was 7, right? Miscounted. Oh, sorry, it's 8. Yes.
8, right? And it's Rob's turn. Rob, you have two picks to make. So yeah, you can decide how this team will look like actually now.
Okay, so I think my number 3 in this team. So that means I'm putting Shreyas at number 4 and Livingstone at number 5 and Miller at number 6. So I'm happy enough with that. I think my number 3 has to be Sean Marsh because of what he's done over.
Yeah.
And I thought in my head before I looked the numbers up, I thought he was just an opener for ages, but he actually wasn't. He batted 3 half the time in his Punjab career. So I don't like it when people do these teams and they just pick players and you end up with, like, I don't know, Rohit as your number 5 or whatever. It's like, you're not allowed to do that. You have to pick people that did the jobs that they did, right? Or so I'm
my
having
favorite
Marsh.
Jack Callis at 6 in an all-time ODI team.
Yeah, he's rubbish anyway, Callis.
First
out
of
and
all,
out
he
stuff,
should.
isn't
Yeah, he shouldn't be in an all-time ODI team. If he's
should be
there,
in
he can't
anybody's
be at
team. He's
number
rubbish. He's definitely not going to be in any all-time IPL teams because I don't want someone who's 58 not out having opened the innings in my side and bowling absolute nonsense. But yeah, the answer is Marsh, and I think just because he won multiple orange caps back in the day, and again the numbers, you look at the numbers, you're like, well, he struck at what 133 I've written down here, but 36 runs in innings and more than a 6 a game, considering he played, the best of his stuff coming on 15 years ago, right? And he did it all, definitely with a bad back and allegedly with problems of, with his right arm sometimes. I think he was a tremendous IPL guy, and he was a bankable run machine for multiple years. So as far as your all-time 11 goes, I think you have to kind of march it.
So I was about to say, if you look at his numbers versus spin, he had a strike rate of 148. So if you compare that to Shreyas, for example, last year had a strike rate of 154 versus spin. And Marsh did that pre-impact era, over a decade ago for Punjab, right? That is very good. So he fits it perfectly at 3, right?
Yeah.
To attack spin, and there's a lot of good spin hitters in the middle now.
If you're opening with KL and somebody else, Prab, fine, KL and someone, and then you've got Marsh, Shreyas, Livingston, Miller, bang, 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 bang. That's
And Akshar can bang hit spin too, right? On his good day, on his day.
And you've got Axar and Irfan backing that up, right? We picked Irfan, didn't we? So have I got to pick someone else now?
Yep.
Yes.
And how many spots have we got left here? I'm kind of picking Pacer, right? Another Pacer.
Yeah, we've got 9 players picked, and I think we do need a pacer because we've got Arshdeep and Irfan, maybe, but we've got Akshar and Livingstone for the spin.
So
yeah, we do.
I thought this was difficult because we've burnt our overseas now, pretty much. Although I guess we haven't because I'm not allowed Gale, am I? So we've got an
We
overseas.
have one more overseas spot left.
Okay. I might be changing my mind then, because I thought that Sandeep should go in because I love him. And I couldn't really think of, other than Azam Mahmood, who was my guy initially when I did these. I couldn't think who my pacer should be. And are you going to pick Azam Mahmood in an all-time? He only played for like a year and a bit, didn't he? 2 seasons.
Yeah.
And his numbers aren't electrifying. I mean, some of the. I mean, AJ Ty got a purple cap for this lot. People forget. I mean, how mad is that? He got a purple cap in the IPL.
Yeah.
And his number, wicket every 17 balls or whatever. Not allowed Harshal because he only played 14 matches. His numbers jumped off the page when I went through everybody's numbers. Rabada had an all-timer season for Punjab, didn't he? He was unreal. When you had him and KL bossing it at the same time. I've said a lot of names here, but I haven't picked anybody yet. I love Praveen Kumar. He's always got a place in my heart, that guy. But his numbers run him away from any discussion when you actually look at them. He was an economy guy though, wasn't he? Back in the day, he bowled a lot of dot balls in the power play, and his batting was really, really funny. So I wanted to pick him for that reason alone. But again, I think it's between. I think I'll leave it overseas for you guys to fill up, and I'll go Sandy. Because I think particularly for Punjab, he was a proper operator, consistent. I'm looking at his numbers. Look at every 18 balls, fine. Just consistently getting like 1.2 wickets a game. He's not going to do a bad job for you. Economy is 7.76 over 61 games, and he bowls a lot of tough overs. That's really good. I still like him now. I still think he's really good cricketer now. Yeah, I'm going Sandeep, but I could be talked out of it. But Sandeep would be my next pick.
Yeah, I think Sandeep's a good pick. I think he did well for Punjab. In fact, he might be in line for at least one other team also when we get to it, whenever we do. But I think he's a very, very solid pick. I don't want to talk you out of that one. I don't know if Varun does.
Again, like, what is it? School of 2014, isn't it? Along with Akshay.
Yeah. He's
what the hell do we have?
Yeah, he was
So we
part of
needed
the Unmukt Chand under 19 World Cup winning team also, I think. And Praveen Kumar, the one thing you forgot to add, Rob, is that you get a fielder who can hit the stumps direct from third man, which he did to run Ian Bell out before India decided no, he's not out.
Good shout. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
What a throwback that is.
Yeah.
Oh God. So like because we in my level, so because we do have an overseas free, Rabada does make a lot of sense in this team. Because I think if you have Irfan and Sandeep with the new ball, you could have Rabada as first change, and he also gives you some overs at the death. Yeah, I'll take Rabada. Why the hell not?
Okay.
Finish the overseas slots.
How many is that? 10?
Yeah.
That's 11 done.
11. So I have to pick the last guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Rabada does make sense. Although I don't know whether Rabada would be in the starting 11 for this. Would he?
I think you'd
have-
need it, don't you?
So you have
Oh,
Rabada,
fair.
Sandeep, Arshdeep,
I forgot we had
and
Arshdeep
Irfan.
too. Yes. Yeah. Fair.
So one of the three pacers. I mean, not Irfan because he is going to bat also.
I
But
think Sandeep sits out then if you want us another spinner, don't we? Because he's another new ball bowler.
Okay, so then if Sandeep sits out, so now I have to either pick a spinner or. So does that mean I can't pick Shashank Singh?
I don't know if you need him, dude. That's a lot of redundancy in finishing then.
Yeah, I guess so. But
You
like
can pick him.
You can pick him. I think then
He's a hell of a player.
displays, right? Yeah.
It's
it's your
between
pick.
it's between Shashank Singh and Harpreet Brar. I think then for me, for Harpreet Brar would give the spin option, or Piyush Chawla from back in the day.
Yeah.
But
Piyush Chawla is an IPL legend.
Piyush Chawla is an IPL legend, yeah. But I think Harpreet Brar, just because I feel he's not been used well by Punjab. They have not played him as often as they should have. Even when their India spinners, like they had Rahul Chahar at one point and he was really not in form, but they kept playing him and kept sitting Harpreet out. I don't know, but I think you can't have a Punjab team without Shashank Singh in it. No, can I pick him, or will we
Yeah.
have too few
Yeah, you
spinners?
can. Up to you. Up to you, bro.
See, if you'd picked Gale, you could have had Gale over as a spin.
No, so
And
we
if you'd
have
have picked Paul Hattie, you could have had some overs of nonsense as well.
we didn't realize Rob made all his 4 picks without picking Paul Valthati.
Yeah,
I
but
know.
we all know that he's captain and brand ambassador and team mascot
Yeah.
and
He's
everything
the
else.
coach of this team, Rob. How about that?
Yeah,
We'll give him
100%.
that.
And
Yeah.
brand ambassador and mascot, and he does the toss and he's the impact sub all the time. Batting order coach, like he's everything. He's my whole world.
By the way, Saurabh, have you gone
No.
Harpreet or Shashank in the end?
I'll go Shashank. I think
Okay.
it's greater injustice to Shashank to not be in the team, so I'll go Shashank. And we still have so that'll give us great batting depth, no? So you're saying Sandeep will be the 12th man?
No, I think if Shashank is there, he has to be the 12th, no? Because you need 5th bowling.
Oh no. So how many
No, wait.
bowlers do we have? We have
No, let me read the
Akshar,
11 out. I think it's if it's easier for you. So we have KL and Prep
Yeah.
Simran opening, Sean Marsh,
Okay.
Shreyas Iyer,
Yeah.
Livingston, Miller, Akshar, Irfan, Rabada, Sandeep, and Arshdeep. So we do have bowling, and we have batting depth. So I think Shashank has to sit on the bench, dude. Because then the
Okay.
balance gets affected.
Okay. So whoever I pick would have sat on the bench, right? Or Harpreet could have possibly come in for. Can I change my pick then? I'll make it Harpreet just so that we have the option of having more spin
Okay.
instead of. If we want to drop a pacer for a spinner, we can. Then.
I think that's fair. So Irfan for Harpreet then, right? If we need spin.
One second, I'm still thinking whether Harpreet or Piyush Chawla.
Are you trying to
Because
find a way to
we-
get Odin Smith through the door, through the back door of his team?
I mean, Piyush Chawla
Odin
would be
Smith,
the
I
worst
forgot
12th man in the history of all 12th mans, wouldn't he? Like, what the hell does he offer with you? He'd be the perfect impact sub of all impact subs. That's true. That's
His
there.
batting's
No.
really funny, P.S. Chowla.
His batting is
He's-
very funny.
He
wins an
and-
IPL
and
final, Rob.
Piyush,
That's true.
against Punjab. He wins an IPL
Yeah.
final against Punjab. So
After they release him, right?
like,
Double agent.
no, because see, we have left arm spin Akshar Patel. So maybe a leg spinner makes more sense. Yeah, I've been
100 years ago, something truly remarkable happened in cricket. No one knew how to get Bradman out. And so, some of the smartest minds in English cricket got together in a smoke-filled room at Lord's, and they talked it out. It is no different than you talking with your uncle, with you whispering at the back of the bus, with you sitting around in the tea room arguing with your friends. This is what we do in cricket. We love the game, we talk about the game. And that is what we do at Combox, where the game lives on. Welcome back. Sorry, Shyam went Missiotis. He was off doing push-ups, running laps, trimming his nose
I
hairs.
was literally here, guys.
I'm not sure what he was doing. I just have, I don't know if you know about this, Sean, but there is a betting market that tells you about whether a game will be completed or not. It's actually one of the best things to look at if you're a cricket fan or if you're in the media, just so you can keep up to date with the information, so you know if the game's going to come back or not, right? I can tell you this, at the moment, there is according to the people who put a lot of money on weather, there is a 1 in 3 chance that we finish this game from here. So that means that people looking at weather that are much smarter than me and Sean are suggesting that there is a very good chance we will not see too much more cricket from here on in. So yeah, just to let you know, but never fear, because the good news is we thought while we're here, if we're not going to have another game, we might as well do a live podcast, because we just showed you the power list and then another recorded podcast. We're like, what if we did a live podcast? And so it turns out that Sharon's going to do a live podcast with me on
Keeper batters.
Keeper
T20
batters.
cricket's keeper batters.
To have a look at keeper batting and everything. So here is the footmarks on keeper batters. Sean, take me away. Or keep me here.
Hello and welcome everyone to today's Footmarks. I'm your host Shayan Ahmed Khan and I have Jared Kimber here with me today and we're going to talk about T20 cricket's keeper batters. So Jared, first of all, when I sent the piece in to you and you looked at it, what were your first thoughts on the Seymour Clarke and MS Dhoni post 2023 comparison?
Yeah, I mean, I suppose we have to explain Seymour Clarke to anyone who's not like a good areas truther, right? So Seymour Clarke is one of the most fascinating cricketers in history in the I want to say 1930s. Does that sound right, Sean?
Yeah.
Yeah, 1930s. He comes along and he basically I think I'm trying to remember the full story, but I think he was playing for his railway cricket team at that point, and they needed a wicketkeeper, and he came up to the stumps, and no one had ever seen anyone take the ball like Seymour Clarke did before. And very shortly after, Somerset said, "If you're this good at wicketkeeping, come and keep with us." So he got a contract to go and play with Somerset. And I think if I'm right, the first story of it, Sean, is hilarious, where the first game for Somerset, he walks up to the stumps. And they were like, "No, this guy's way too quick for you to stand at the stumps." So he'd never even kept back before, right? Is the way that I understood it. And he's one of the most naturally gifted wicketkeepers anyone has ever seen in cricket. But he plays in 5 games. Does that sound right? 8 innings?
Correct.
Would you like to tell the
five
people?
first-class matches.
Yeah, 5 first-class matches, 8 innings. Would you like to tell the people?
9 innings. Yeah.
9 innings, sorry. How many runs did he make in those 9 innings?
Big fat 0.
He never made a run. He bought a brand new
Best
bat.
Best effort was 2-0 not outs, guys.
Yep.
2-0
Yeah.
not outs.
So it wasn't as if he was not out all the time either. He bought a brand new bat for the season, and there is a story of a spinner feeling sorry for him and actually purposely bowling so that Seymour Clarke
Peter
could score a
Smith.
run, and he still couldn't do it. He still couldn't score the run. So Seymour Clarke is the most specialist wicketkeeper I think we've ever had. Right at a period where we were probably about to phase away from specialist keepers.
Certainly, I think. And I mean, we've seen keepers, like, we've seen less aims in that generation, right? Like, I think before the war, where he was the sort of player who, averaged twice as much as the other keepers. So keepers batting was not something that was always automatically expected, but I mean, nobody expected you to average 0 either, right? So
Yeah.
that was definitely taking it.
I think there was quite a few wicketkeepers who would occasionally be the number 11, so we know that they couldn't bat. I think Seymour Clarke just took it to Seymour Clarke is worse than any bowler we've ever seen, let alone any keeper we've ever seen beforehand. So
Has he
yeah,
ever
I
made
think
any
you're right.
professional runs, like sorry, not professional runs, club cricket runs. I believe he made like a 3 at some point.
Yeah, he
I
just
wanna
never made
say.
runs. It's like he didn't know how to hold the bat, because we know he could pick the ball up
Yes.
perfectly, because he could take every. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, the kicker of this story is really that at the end of his first season, he is offered a contract to come back and play again next year, and he decides that he doesn't want to be involved
I'll
with
take my
professional
safe job.
cricket. Yeah, he'll keep his train job and go off. But I think that tells you that, like, it's not that they didn't see that as a failure. They were like, "We've got the best wicketkeeper in England. We're going to keep him around."
Definitely. I think that's how they looked at it. And just one last note on him was when I was going through his Wikipedia page as well, and just to figure out his batting and stuff. And it says that in club cricket, he reckoned his highest score was 3. So, wonder if we could ever, get an NV play ball by ball of that 3. I would pay to watch it, Jared. I would pay to watch.
He
that
might be the
any
worst.
day.
He might be the worst batter in professional cricket.
Yeah. So I think on that note, obviously comparing him with Dhoni was taking it a bit too far. I mean, Dhoni actually won a game that I went to watch last year, right in this city that I live, couple of kilometers from my place, where he wins a game for CSK with the bat against LSG. The season before, also he gets another cameo, 24 of 9 or something of the sort, I believe. But essentially, his role completely changes, right? Like, he goes from this sort of player who is, a finishing anchor. I mean, we've just been talking about that all the time. We did the big piece with Varun and all that. But his role has now completely changed to that of a lower order slogger, someone who can come in at number 8 or number 7 and just slog a few at the end. But that is not what T20 keepers are like today, right? It's almost as if you are a keeper bat, whether you're a local keeper bat, whether you're an overseas keeper bat, you are expected to be contributing, and you are expected to be fulfilling different roles even at times. It's not even like they all open or they are all, lower order batters. Like in Test cricket, for example, that's how I looked at it, right? So in Test cricket, naturally, when you're keeping for that long, it will be hard for you to maintain the stamina and then, come back up and bat in the top order. I think we've seen very rare occasions of that.
Couple of number
Who would you
fives,
say,
right?
Jared, is the most consistent top 3 batter in Test cricket, who's also a keeper?
Well, no one really, right? It's only number 5. It would be Flower,
Flower
Flower and
five.
Rishabh Pant.
Correct.
I can't think of too many others that would have batted in the top 5 consistently as a keeper, and made runs. I'm not saying they didn't do it as a role, but in Test cricket, and it's hard, as you said, it's hard. You might be out there wicket keeping for 160 overs. The idea that you'll just be able to go out and bat is not really how it works, right?
Yeah. So the one who actually does it the most is Kumar Sangakkara, who is a wicket keeper and also bats in the top 3. And his numbers are an average of 43. And we all know he was a much, much better player than that. Like, I think his non-keeping average is actually close to, say, 60, I want to say. And we know what he could do when he was not with the gloves, right? Like, he was a proper, one of the greatest batters we've ever seen. And we will have another Kumar Sangakkara reference in this, which perhaps a few of you guys who have not gone through the piece yet will not expect, but just to throw it out there. And another guy who did this job a bit was Farooq Engineer and Alex Stewart. So these are the few guys that you can sort of identify with, but it's very rare, and even they have not done it their entire careers. So that's what we are talking about. But if you think about T20 cricket, you will see the likes of Phil Salt, or you will see the likes of Finn Allen right up at the top. The guys that are going to be your absolute thrashers at the start of an innings. And you will also see middle order bashers like Nicholas Pooran, who will take down spin for fun. You'll also see lower order specialists who are keepers like maybe let's say Dhoni right now, but that's taking it a bit too far. That's an extreme example. But the point being, you have all these guys in all these various different roles. And so it just interested me. So I will tell you how this topic actually came to being. I was just chatting to Varun about Robbie actually. We were just talking about him, and I just made a throwaway comment saying, is Robbie a bit like, someone like a Baz or an EBD who could also keep and also field? So he could do both of those things and pretty solidly at that. That was my line of thinking. Varun was like, yeah, I mean, obviously ABD and Glenn Phillips are like the extreme examples of that, and Brendan McCullum, if you add to that, who were actually like really, really elite fielders. And when we did the numbers, they don't actually keep all that much, Jared. Like, they barely keep in T20 cricket. I mean, Phillips was at 30-odd%, and I don't even believe he keeps all that much anymore. The other guys, De Villiers did not want to keep a whole lot in T20 cricket. He did it for RCB at the back end. I remember that there was a balance issue, like back in his very late career, and he still took the gloves and did a fine job at that. And McCullum as well, like he kept in Test cricket, he kept in ODI cricket as well. But like none of these guys were specialist wicket keepers per se. And Robbie was different from them because he was more middle of the road. So you have a good sample size of him keeping wickets and not keeping wickets. And we'll come to him later and we'll talk about, what the explanation that he gave.
I think that's one of the other things now is it's actually very rare for a player to keep all the time, right? Like, you come in and out, there are different players and, there are now multiple options of wicket keepers available in sides. It's very rare for someone to just keep every single game that they play, right?
Yeah. So I think if we actually look at the numbers of who has kept the most, who has basically kept all their career, I think the number one is Sarfaraz Ahmed, which I think makes sense. Like, you do identify him as a wicket keeper, do you not?
Yeah, exactly. But I would think that, like, going back 20, 30 years ago, there would have been a lot of players that would have been like that. Whereas now, you probably have someone like, I don't know, Phil Salt. Like, Phil Salt will have kept and will have not kept, right? Like, that's just a normal part of Phil Salt's game. And it's quite interesting, actually. Like, sometimes someone will say so-and-so is a wicketkeeper. And I was like, well, how often have they kept? And it'll be like 10 or 15% of the time. Like Rory Burns, Ollie Pope are two really good examples, not even in T20 cricket, right? But just in cricket in general, of like people say they're wicketkeepers. It's like, well, they're not wicketkeepers if they don't do it like 30 to 40% of the time.
We had it at 20% minimum. Like, and that was also stretching it a bit, actually.
Yeah.
30 is more fair, I would say.
It's a fascinating, that I think is a whole new development in cricket, right? Which is before a keeper was the keeper, and that's how it worked. And until we really had I would say until Jack Russell and Alex Stewart were in the same side together, and then I think there was a few Sri Lankan guys who could keep as well.
Yeah.
It just wasn't very common to have more than one person in a game who could keep.
Yeah. Exactly. I believe there is some overlap with Dhoni and Saha as well in Test cricket. I
Yeah,
want
but
to say
that's
it's not a
modern.
whole lot.
But that's modern.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
That's modern, yeah.
In modern cricket, there's heaps of examples of it in the last 10 or 15 years, right? But I'm saying before 1990 or before the year 2000, it's very rare. Like I remember when Gilchrist played for Australia as a batter, right? And it was the biggest news story in Australian cricket at that time, that no one could understand why they were picking 2 wicket keepers and everything. So it's not that common that you end up in a situation where you actually have both of these keepers in the same. As I said, the Alex Stewart, Jack Russell one was another big example of this, where everyone pointed it out because it wasn't something that we were used to seeing.
Certainly. And if we actually look at Adam Gilchrist, and he's never not been a wicketkeeper in Test match cricket.
Yep.
So that is quite fascinating to me, I still think. So, and
Well,
even
I
in
think
T20
I
cricket,
think in
he's right
Test
up there.
cricket, it's still a bit more common, isn't it, to get someone
Even
who's
in-
a specialist keeper and not.
Even in T20s, he never not kept. He was always a wicketkeeper. He did bowl once in a IPL game and took a wicket off his first ball, but he has always
But
kept
what
him.
I'm saying is, I think that sort of Adam Gilchrist career doesn't seem to happen as much now, because if Adam Gilchrist played now and you put him into any IPL team, right? So you look at Gujarat at the moment, right?
Correct.
So their keeper is Butler
Yeah.
in the last game, I think. Yeah.
Correct.
They also have Banton available to them and Glenn Phillips, and I haven't got their squad in front of me, but they'll probably have a local wicketkeeper
Kumar
as well.
Tushar also keeps wickets, I believe.
Yeah. So you're in a situation where you have 4 wicket keepers in a squad, maybe 5. There's probably someone else who's kept a bit as well, right? When Gilchrist played for Australia, there was, unless they went on an Ashes tour, they didn't even take another wicket keeper all the time, right? Like that wasn't even a thing that you did. And so we are now seeing, this sort of situation where England have Ollie Pope, Rory Burns, Ben Folkes, all these different guys who can or can't keep at any one period of time. And, sometimes I'm watching England and I can't remember who their keeper is, because Salt and Butler seem to be swapping it at different times as well, right? So it's such a different situation going ahead than it ever has been before.
Certainly, I think, and with wicket keepers, it's always interesting because, some of these guys, they will not do it a whole lot, but some of them will be in the middle and some of them will not do it at all only. Like, they'll be very rare. Like, and another thing I've noticed is with Indian cricket, like, let's say if we take their example, it comes naturally to me off the top of my head that if you think of the last 5 to 7 years of Indian white ball cricket, how many Indian wicketkeeper batters can you name? Like, there are plenty of them. Plenty of them who can do a job both as keeper and as a batter. Like, you just start with, we all had hopes from Rishabh Pant, who quite hasn't lived up to it in white ball cricket, especially in T20s of recent times. And then you've got Ishan Kishan, who was part of a World Cup winning team. You've got just very recently Sanju Samson and
Dinesh Karthik? Dinesh Karthik as well.
Dinesh Karthik, KL Rahul.
I mean, they all overlap. That's what I mean. And so
Exactly.
the big change really is that what you used to have in the past was that a wicketkeeper would come through as a specialist, and once they were in the squad, they were the wicketkeeper for that squad. And you might have a backup wicketkeeper in that squad, depending on where you were playing. And the big change now is that junior sides are picked without anyone picking wicketkeepers. Everyone just picks batters, and then the batters are supposed to work out wicketkeeping when they're 13, 14, 15, right? And so you end up in a situation where you have all these guys who've done little bits of wicketkeeping, right? But very few have done lots. And you look at someone like Josh Butley, he has a big issue with that, right?
Yeah.
He looks like someone who's not always 100% on his wicketkeeping, because he's not always 100% a wicketkeeper, right? And so it's hard for them to
Butler
develop
Bairstow
those second
case.
skills. Yeah,
Right, in Test
Bairstow's
match
another
cricket.
one. I mean, that's what I mean. There's so much overlap in modern cricket of people who can do the same job, right?
Yeah.
You look at Australia. They just played a Test match against India with 2 wicketkeepers in their side. In the Ashes, sorry, with 2 wicketkeepers in their side, right? Like, we are seeing it more and more going ahead, and so that is the big change. And so the question now is, when me and Amal Dacey years ago tried to look this up, there was no way of looking at international cricket to actually tell if wicketkeeping affected your batting, because the vast majority of international wicketkeepers, they just either kept all the time or they kept for a little bit and then stopped, right? And they didn't go between the gloves and everything else. Whereas now, with T20 cricket and ODI cricket, we have a much easier way of looking at players. You know, someone like Brendan McCullum, who I think most people would say is a wicketkeeper, is it in our piece he kept about 30% of the time? Am I remembering the number right?
Not even 30%, 20.2.
I mean, this is a man who's a test wicketkeeper, and in T20 cricket doesn't even keep. And so you end up in this weird sort of situation where you have to kind of think about all of that. And so the big thing was, I think, where we started this piece was, are there players who are better suited to batting when they're keeping, and are there players who are better suited to not doing it? And where it started from my perspective was that I had always been taught through the sort of Kumar Sangakkara, Walcott, and Alex Stewart situations that basically you had a much higher batting average when you weren't keeping than you did when you were keeping. And then AB de Villiers comes along, and he's completely different. And so when I went back and did my past analysis, I was like, well, these most of these other guys were wicket keeping when they were young and learning the game. Then when they were in their batting prime, they didn't have the gloves on anymore. And so they have a boost in their runs, but they would have had it even if they were keeping in that period. And that's what Amal Dacey's numbers basically said. And so what we wanted to look at in T20 cricket, where these guys come in and out wicket keeping from game to game, whether there was any impact on certain players who were keeping compared to certain players who were not.
Yeah, just before we get to that segment, I would just like to add one more thing that, with keepers, when you say that, I'm not quite getting the right term for it, but when you're a young keeper and you want to get into the team and you're also a decent batter, surely your keeping also boosts your chances to get in the squad, does it not? Like, regardless of the format. If you're reluctant to keep it, you need to be a better batter then, I think. Or...
I suppose it depends on the team, right? Like, look, there's no situation where if you can bowl
in pre-modern cricket.
Yeah, but if you can bowl a little bit of part-time spin, or you're a great fielder, or you have the ability to be the backup wicketkeeper in a squad, like, so I'm pretty sure I'd have to go back and check it. But there's a guy called Jimmy Ma who played ODIs for Australia, and I'm pretty sure there was a big talk about him. He was a pretty good first-class batter as well, even though he's probably better in limited overs. That was the reputation he had. But I think there was a big thing of like, why not just send him as your backup wicketkeeper for the Ashes rather than sending a specialist wicketkeeper who likely is not going to play anyway? Why not send a backup batter? Then you've got someone who can wicketkeep if everything goes poorly for you, and if not, and you need runs, you've got another batter there, right? So I mean that has always been a skill set that has been seen as something that is important. I think the difference is that up until 1960, 1970. The idea of anyone having the gloves who was not the world's best, not the country's best wicketkeeper was a very, very strange position to be in. So as we open up our minds of how that sort of works going ahead and everything else, that's probably when it changes a little bit, and we start to think, okay, so let's say you're going on tour and you've got the choice between Ollie Pope and, I don't know, I'm trying to think of someone else. Tom Westerly, was that his name? Or whatever that guy's name was. That if you got the choice between those two guys, right? And you're like, well, okay, so maybe this guy can only bat in one position and this guy can bat in two positions. So straight away, you're more interested in the guy who can bat in two positions. If that guy can bat in two positions and he can hold the gloves, that other guy's stuffed, right? Because he has to be better than him. So I do think that plays a part as well.
Yeah, that's a great point, actually. I think you can relate this with KL Rahul as well, right? Like, he can bat anywhere in the top 7, even Sanju Samson for that matter. Like, they can bat in multiple positions, but they can also keep wicket for you and be the backup wicket keeper and be like decent enough fielders at least, if not great fielders for that matter. So I think on that note, we can just start talking about some of those guys who preferred batting when they were keeping and not when they weren't, those sorts of things. So who was the one that stood out to you the most, Jared? I think for me, it has to be AB de Villiers. Was quite interesting because... And why he's interesting, I'll tell you, because in test match cricket, when he's keeping, he is a better batter. In one-day cricket, when he's keeping, he is a better batter. But in T20 cricket, that is not the case. He is much, much, much better. Like, his impact is 3 times more, the impact metric that we talk about. It's thrice as much when he's not keeping wicket. So clearly, there is something just in the shortest format where maybe de Villiers feels like, okay, I just want to go 20 overs cricket. I want to be at my absolute best, peak performance, and I want to hit the ball around everywhere, right? Like, be at my absolute best as a batter, but he's also a great fielder. He's a great outfielder, right? Even in the infield, I think you can use him in certain situations, of course. But I think for me, what stands out is some of those great catches that he took at the boundary, right? On the boundary, and in various different positions at that. So when you have a player like that, I think you want AB to be your backup keeper. You don't want to start a season with AB as your main keeper because you don't want to tire him out by the time it's the end of the season, right? And then you don't get the output from him with the bat, which is the most important thing, which is why he's playing in the team, right? With AB de Villiers is not he's not Ridhiman Saha, right? And of course, T20 cricket things are different. But with Ridhiman Saha, you expect peak performance from his wicket keeping. With de Villiers, you expect that from his batting. So, any thoughts on that? In why T20 in particular that was the case?
I can't think of any reason why it was particular in T20 cricket. The only thing I would say is that AB de Villiers was always a very reluctant wicketkeeper. And so I think what happened in Test cricket, and I'd have to check in ODI cricket as well, but I know specifically what happens in Test cricket is that he's keeping at that point when it's at his peak, where he probably keeps in T20 cricket throughout various times, all the way through. So I think maybe that plays a small part. But I think if you don't think of yourself as a wicketkeeper, wicket-keeping becomes an extra job. So I asked Robbie about this once. I said, do you identify as a wicketkeeper? Because I know I've got friends who've wicket-kept in Test matches quite a lot, and they will tell you, I'm not a wicketkeeper. Like, I just did the job, right? So if that's the case, it's like, well, you're being asked to do extra work here. And if you're being asked to do extra work, you're in a position where it maybe does affect you a little bit from that perspective. You're holding back. Maybe you're tired in a way you're not normally tired. Maybe your body's not feeling it in the way that it would normally feel it. All these things I think are very, very possible. So then, to sort of switch that back at that point and change it to, the next thing that we're talking about is there are other players who think that wicket keeping is their main job, right? And so they actually probably feel more secure and safe in the side. And if you look at this, one of the players who's done really, really well on these graphics is Johnny Bairstow, right? He's a player who is, as a wicketkeeper, had a huge impact, right? Yeah. And as a non-wicketkeeper, didn't. And we know that Johnny Bairstow felt really uncomfortable at times in his career, right? He felt like the world was out to get him, that he was always on the edge of being dropped or whatever that may be. And I think that plays a part. When he's wicket-keeping, he's thinking, well, my batting's a bonus, right? Yeah. So I think a lot of this is psychological. What is interesting is that we will get to a point later where someone else explains to us it's not just psychological, it's also technical, which is something that I hadn't really factored into this.
Yeah. And I think the best example for this is Robbie, right? When I looked at his numbers and I was thinking about, him and Samson have very similar numbers, and it seems like they both prefer to keep in T20 cricket than not to keep when we're talking about the batting output, right? And I wondered we were wondering why that would have been the case. So let's just ask him. I told Jared, just ask Robbie why that was the case.
Of course, you could have asked him. I don't know why I had to ask him. It's your piece, but sure.
So Jared asked him, and then he's like, whenever I kept wickets, it felt to me, like especially in the first innings, whenever I kept wickets, I knew what the pitch was behaving like. So I could adjust my batting accordingly in the next innings. And we tallied that with the numbers, and that was perfectly accurate because his averages are more or less same across the board. I think if you look at his major T20 cricket, regardless of whether he's keeping or not, whether he's batting in the first or the second innings. But the big jump was when he was in the second innings and he was wicket keeping, his strike rate just took a big boost. I think it was around 140, which for the era that he played in was a pretty solid one. And it was a jump from the rest of his career, right? And why that was the case was because he knew what the wicket was going to behave like. And so maybe he was able to calculate that, I am going to take risks accordingly. I know that this is that sort of a wicket. And it got much better returns from him.
Yeah, that was fascinating. I know I've certainly talked to keepers before about how keeping helps their batting, but I don't think I'd ever heard anyone say that. And then the other thing is, many times in someone's career, they will tell you something, you go and check the numbers and you're like, actually, that doesn't, So this Robbie story actually reminded me a lot of with Ross Taylor, right? We heard the story about Ross Taylor and the lights, and then I chatted to him, and I went off and I gave information to Ross Taylor, who's like, oh my God, I wish I'd known this while I was playing, right? Like this could have changed Ross Taylor's career. And it's the same with Robbie. If he'd known it was that much of a bump, right? Then you could start to plan into it as a team. Mm-hmm. And you can even say to Robbie, look, you don't need to, there's no point you keeping in the second innings. It doesn't make any impact at all. We can use someone else and we can rest you. And you just need to keep, it gives you a flexibility. And that's what this sort of information does. And, I know a lot of people are afraid of data and numbers and analysis, but it's like, sometimes it sets you free. And I think in this case, if we had said to Robbie, you're going to strike at, almost 0.2 or 0.25 or whatever it was, more per ball when you have wicket kept.
0.15, yeah.
Right? Like, I think if you told any team that, they'd be like, well, we would like Robbie to wicket keep in the first innings of every game where possible. Because our other wicket keeper is not going to be able to do that.
Right, exactly. I think that's a really good way to put it. And what interested me was that Sanju had a very similar pattern. And with Sanju, another interesting thing that I found was his keeping and his captaincy also coincided. So if you remember that 2021 season when he takes over for the Rajasthan Royals, I actually quite liked his run as a captain with the Rajasthan Royals. Now he's moved to Chennai and now he's not the captain anymore, right? He's still keeping and he's keeping when Dhoni is not there. So when Dhoni comes back in for the rest of the season, it will be interesting to see whether Sanju is not going to take the gloves then, right? Like if Dhoni is playing, he is taking the gloves. Everybody knows.
Yeah.
Each and every one of us knows that. So then Sanju has to be in the outfield. Even in the World Cup, Sanju was keeping wickets, right? And the other thing that we've seen just recently in the first game of the IPL was Ishan Kishan, who did not keep in the World Cup, but once he went on to keep for SRH in the very first match of this IPL, he had a couple of blunders, right? Like maybe he was just not in it at that particular moment. And another thing that can always happen, I feel, with keepers is if, let's say, these two were also competing for a role, by the way. It was Kishan who ended up pipping him for the spot in the playing 11, and Sanju actually came back in much later when India revamped their strategy a bit in the middle of the World Cup.
Yeah.
So this was not even always the case, right? And even Kishan, I think he's another one of those guys who I want to say prefers. Yeah, so he prefers not keeping. Yes. So with Kishan is not the same as Sanju, right? So Sanju will want to keep. He will want more responsibility, perhaps. That's why I was also looking at captain keepers. Dhoni is another one of those, right? Like when you are the captain, when you're the keeper, so now you are basically controlling the game in a sense. Like you need to know each and everything that is happening. You need to know the right decisions as a captain. So that will obviously give you more information when you go into bat in the second innings, for example, or if you're even in the first innings, whatever you do on the wicket, then you can apply that to the next innings, right? So I feel like that's also something we possibly could have looked at in more detail, but not maybe needed a whole lot for this piece. But I found that bit quite interesting when we were just chatting about Robbie, and then you told me to look up those numbers. I was like, okay, I'll look up Sanju's numbers as well, because those two are very similar. And with him, I went into a completely different tangent of, captaincy is also another factor with him.
No, definitely. And I think all those things, that's why there's a lot of this is just psychological, right? And that it affects you mentally in different ways. And, Adam Gilchrist always said that he could attack a lot more knowing that he was a wicketkeeper because he has the second job, right? So it gave him a freedom when batting. And as we said before, there are other players that sometimes don't like to wicketkeep because it's a whole nother job. And they have to focus on that. And they think it takes away from their energy of batting, right? So Brendan McCullum was a very good example of someone who tried as much as he could to give the gloves away because he wanted to put all of his issue in. So I think it's a very psychological thing. And I think that, having done a lot of research over the last couple of years, what you understand very quickly is that there isn't really that much of an impact overall on being a captain or being a wicketkeeper to your batting average, right? The impact really is on an individual level. There are some people who might actually, become a captain and then suddenly just go absolutely through the roof because they're like, okay, this is going to make me be more professional now. And I've got to think about leading from the front and all these things. And we start to make runs. There are other people who become captain and their batting falls apart because they're suddenly like, I've got a whole nother job and the psychology and everything. But when you look at the numbers overall, what you see is that there isn't really that much of a difference between someone keeping and not keeping, unless you've got a Robbie-like situation, or you've got a Johnny Bairstow-like situation, you've got an AB de Villiers-like situation, right? So the impact is individual. And once you understand that, I think that's the key to unlocking this. Because, as we said before, there's so many wicket keepers in every side now that actually you can use, instead of just using the best wicket keeper, right? You can actually use players in a specific way that is going to get the most out of them. So if you've got Robbie in the side and you might have another wicketkeeper who you think is slightly better, it's like, great, we use that wicketkeeper when the wicketkeeping's in the second innings. But in the first innings, you want to use Robbie as your wicketkeeper because you're going to get a bump on your batting, right? It's also, how good is the wicketkeeper away from fielder? We saw, Ishan Kishan's actually quite a good outfielder, right? Heinrich
Yeah,
Klaassen
he
is
is.
probably not as good an outfielder. So you might want Heinrich Klaassen to be your wicketkeeper because even if you think Ishan's a better wicketkeeper, you're actually losing a lot having Heinrich Klaassen out in the outfield. So making those kinds of decisions, I think, is the future of the game. The more information you can learn, the better you can make your decisions. And I think in the past, these decisions have been quite limited in the way that people have made them.
Yeah, certainly. I think another player who we've not actually talked a whole lot about was Luke Ronchi, who actually stood out as one of those thrasher wicket keepers, the
Yeah.
Phil Salts and the Adam Gilchrist mold of players that will just go rogue. They will not have they will have like a par true average, but they will just start really quick. And at starting quick, and go really quick. But with Luke Ronchi, the other thing is that he's one of the fastest starters in all of cricket, right? Like, that's one of the analysis I think you had done back in the day. And you often used to talk about the first 5 balls or first 10 ball strike rates with context to Luke Ronchi because he was a very nervous starter, right? Do you want to expand a bit more on that and why that was the case?
Yeah, Luke Ronchi didn't like starting. It was a big issue all the way through his career. And so he figured that, especially when T20 cricket came along, his best option was just to try and hit 4s and 6s as quickly as possible. And I think even now, he's kind of the Viv Richards of first 5 ball strike rate. And I don't think anyone's particularly close. And so we've never seen anyone like that before. But again, you can't bat like Luke Ronchi unless you know that you're in the team for a second skill, right? So if you go traditionally through cricket, most of the better strike rates are all-rounders, right?
Exactly.
And the reason they can swing like that, the reason Botham can bat the way that Botham does and Kapil Dev can bat the way that Kapil Dev does, right, is because or Adam Gilchrist, you can throw all these guys in, it's because they have a second skill, right? And Ronchi knew that as a wicketkeeper, he had the ability to be in the side for that. And so that gave him a freedom to play the way he did. And I would say in Luke Ronchi, he was a player who had a lot of flaws, but because he was so good at attacking, it was really hard to bowl to him. So he ends up in a situation where he's constantly doing really well in games because of this second skill being there.
Yeah. And with him, it's also the thing of being an understudy for most of his career, was it not? Like, was it? I didn't actually know a whole lot about this. I knew he played for both of those teams, and he had that one gun 170 in one-day cricket, I believe, and all of those things. But
So
I was
he
not aware that
when he was young, he came up in Western Australia, and Adam Gilchrist was the wicketkeeper, and so he was second to Adam Gilchrist in the Western Australian and the Australian job. Which meant, which was always going to be tough for him. And he was a dual citizen, so he moved back to New Zealand to try there. And when I remember writing an article going, Luke Ronchi should move to New Zealand because McCullum hadn't starred when he first started at this point. And I was like, Ronchi should go back there. By the time Ronchi actually goes back to New Zealand, McCullum's doing really well. And so he ends up being the understudy there as well, which is fascinating, right? And so a lot of people don't know much about Luke Ronchi because he didn't play a lot of international cricket and he didn't play a lot of IPL cricket either. So most of his cricket is in the shadows, which I think kind of suits the kind of guy he was. But he's one of the best ball strikers I have ever seen. And as I said before, his ability to just go from the first ball might be the most impressive thing. There's no player I've ever seen who has the ability to do that as consistently and as well as he did.
Yeah. And another thing that, when we were just looking at the true values, just the basic true values, like of all time, something that really fascinated me was Kumar Sangakkara and Rishabh Pant basically have the same true strike rate.
Yep.
You are not going to, Jared, if I told you that, say, 4 years ago, you would be shocked. You would not believe what I'm saying, right?
Yeah, I suppose their careers are so distant from each other that when you think about it, it makes more sense. But when you first put it in the piece, I was like, that's a genuinely interesting thing to note, and it tells you really how much. I would say it tells you a lot about Rishabh Pant not maximizing himself as a T20 player, right? Because he shouldn't.
Exactly.
He shouldn't even be the same kind of player as Kumar Sangakkara. And he's ended up in that zone. And I think he really struggles. Whereas I think Kumar Sangakkara is very humble about his white ball career, right? And T20 career specifically. But Kumar Sangakkara knew exactly who he was as a player and nailed that role over and over again. And so even though his strike rate looks quite low, for modern cricket, when you compare it to a modern cricket one, if you do it contextually, it looks fine. And that brings him back into that Rishabh Pant role. But I'd say a perfect example of those are two cricketers, one of which knows exactly who he is as a player, and the other one who just
Yeah.
doesn't.
And Rishabh Pant also, since we're talking about these two, Pant and Sangakkara, it just reminded me out of nowhere that India also have Dhruv Jurel now. So in their test
Yeah.
team, they have Dhruv Jurel as well as Rishabh Pant. So the conversations that I have actually been having with a lot of people is that should Jurel be keeping now and just let Pant bat at number 5, give him that AB de Villiers role, give him the freedom to. I know the freedom argument goes both ways, right? Like when
It
you
does.
fail, you also you feel like,
Because
okay,
if you put an
I have
attacking
keeping
batter
the
at
ball
number
back on.
5 and he has
Yeah.
5 or 10 bad test matches, he's probably
Yeah.
going to get dropped in the Indian side, right? And if he's the wicket keeper, he's probably not. So
Exactly.
that's the issue that you have with these sorts of things. And they're very
with
different
Pant,
kinds of
we don't
wicket
even know if
keepers
he's
as well.
going to be better when he's not keeping in test, right? Like we've not seen it. We have just not seen that. What
So-
if he's like, oh, I feel very weird in the field. It's not my day, guys. I'm sorry.
Exactly. And so I do think that's why all these things are tricky. And, to go back to the Bairstow Butler one, I've written about a 10,000 word essay on Bairstow Butler, which we've never made into anything, it's in my drafts and we'll probably release it for this summer because it's one of the more fascinating experiments that we've ever seen in cricket. That when they brought Butler back in to be a specialist number 7, the follow-on effects that it had for Johnny Bairstow probably ruined one of their best players, right? And so you make a choice, and Dhruv Jurel coming in will have a follow-on effect to Rishabh Pant, even though they probably don't mean it to, right? Like I think in England's case, if I'm being honest, I think they did know, and they were just stupid about it. But it's the same now with Josh Inglis and Alex Carey on the side, right? They're doing it from a position of strength, and Carey's been moved up the order, and so they're absolutely
Exactly.
fine to do it.
Yeah.
But if Carey then goes on a position where he doesn't make run, like he's been in great form for the last 1.5 years, however long it's been.
Great season just now. I mean, this was a ridiculous season.
Exactly. But what if he then goes on a period where he doesn't make any runs, and there's another wicket keeper in the side who's making runs? Robbie talks about this all the time. It's a very different sport in many ways than you see around the world, and so you end up in a situation where we don't know how that will go. Here's the fascinating one with Rishabh Pant that I'll give you. He's played 77 first-class games. How many do you think he's not been the wicketkeeper in?
Like 5 or 10 at max. 0.
So,
What?
how do you even make that decision, right?
Exactly. There is no data for
They
it.
could ask him, and he won't even know, right? And I think this is what I'm trying to say. There's so many sort of moving parts to all of this, and I think especially since the Bairstow Butler one, that's probably been the one that has fascinated me the most, right? And then you also had the fact that Australia kept trying to push Inglis in to get rid of Carey, and then Carey went on a run. You now have multiple options, and how you use these players is really important.
Yeah.
And Shield Berry wrote one of the most interesting articles about this, and Shield Berry is not exactly a analyst or progressive, but what he was saying is, sorry, he will say he's progressive. I mean a cricket progressive, not a human progressive. But if you look at wicket keepers in general, if you're going to have 3 in the same side, why are you especially in a test match? But you can make this argument in a one day or a T20, and we're starting to see it now. If your wicket keeper makes like 100 in a T20 game, surely they shouldn't be wicket keeping in the next innings, right? And if you've got another wicket keeper on that side, they should be doing that. And in test matches, it probably makes more sense to split up your 2 wicket keepers and have the better wicket keeper for seam bowling perhaps early on, the better wicket keeper for spin later on, again, to give them that. That would make everyone feel a little bit more comfortable. Whereas at the moment, we're in that old-fashioned cricket mindset of you're the keeper, you're not the keeper. And it's like, I think, as I said before, I think England has started to work this out with Butler and Salt, which is who's got more energy coming into this, right? Or, who's feeling better with the gloves at the moment? These are all normal things to be able to do. But these are really, really tough decisions because cricket isn't used to that yet.
Yeah, certainly. And the pace and spin, keeping to pace and spin thing is something I hadn't even thought about. Like, I know this was something I was talking to a friend about, and I think we were just having a chat about, is Carey a better wicketkeeper than Pant? And just purely on technicals, because the friend I'm talking about, he's also kept wickets, like obviously at a much, much lower level, but he used to play in cricket in his academy and all of that. And he's always been fascinated with like AB de Villiers and Dhoni and those style of players. So I asked him, and I think he said that for pace, I think it has to be Alex Carey, right? Like it's not even that. That is a conversation that we all agree with. I don't think that is a concern. But maybe with spin, those things could change, right? Like maybe not right at the moment, but keeping in Asia is something that, say, Alex Carey doesn't have to do as often. And the other thing is that Rishabh Pant has kept a whole lot of his career in Asia, right? And even he took time to get better at keeping in Asia. You remember the early days when they were like, they should play Saha. And the funniest thing on this I remember still is that India dropped Rishabh Pant for the ping ball test match in the same series that he won them down under, right? He was dropped for the first test, the ping ball test. They thought Saha would be the better wicketkeeper, so they should play him. While I understand that reasoning, at that point, I think I was really, really annoyed. I was more thinking from a line. I didn't really consider keeping and all back then. Like I was a fan. I just wanted to see Rishabh Pant play, and I was like, "What is this? No, no, no!" And then Saha had a couple of drops also in that game. Like I was just like, "Yeah. Why are you playing Saha? Just get Rishabh Pant in." But now that I think of it, looking back, there are often cricketing reasons why teams sometimes have to even make those sorts of sacrifices.
Yeah, and I think that's the point of, as we said before, if we can match up the information with these guys and understand who is the better fielder, who is the better wicket keeper, who needs the wicket keep to make more runs, who can play, who feels more confident not having the gloves and everything else, you could start to get a little bit more flexible with it. I think going ahead.
First innings versus fourth innings, Jared.
Yeah.
Who's better keeping when the ball is bouncing and
Yeah, exactly. Who's better at keeping low?
I was
watching Just Butler the other day, and he was wicket keeping, and he stands so high, which is the wrong way of wicket keeping in Asia to begin with, where you want to stay as low as possible. It's little things like that. And so, yeah, I really do believe that the more information that we get, we make sense. And also, if we get away from it being didactic and just being like, you are the wicket keeper, you are not the wicket keeper, it allows us to use our players in the best possible way. And, I've just done a podcast with Varun about MS Dhoni. We're talking about the same things, right? We want you to use your players in the best way possible, and we want to have the information we can to be able to do that. And at the moment, you watch cricket sometimes, and you do look at these teams, and you think to yourself, are they actually using their teams in their best in the best way? And I don't know how you look at it, Sean, but I quite often go, no, they are not. They are not using their players in the best way they could.
Definitely. I mean, you've all seen my rants on CSK not opening with Matre, right? Like I feel like I've said that a million times at this point. Just let Matre open. I'm tired of saying this over and over again. Not because I'm not even saying he might have a great season this time. The idea behind it is something that you want to maximize that phase for a player who is literally built to do that sort of thing, to take down pace when the field is up, right? That's the sort of reasoning that I am coming from. And you already have a Gaikwad who can be a much better player through the middle overs when you have to find gaps and often find fours against spinners.
100%.
If you're not a six hitter, you also need to clear those gaps, right? And maybe if you pair him with like a Dubey or a Sarfraz who can clear the boundary, that could be an interesting partnership. So those are the sorts of things you often need to look at. And just as the game that we were just about to cover, right? We had Finn Allen in this team. We had Tim Seifert in this team, but none of them are keeping wickets for KKR this season. It's Krish Raghuvanshi.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just incredible how many times you look at sides and you go, they've got 3 wicket-keeping options now.
Yeah.
And as I said, when I grew up, the idea of having a second person in the team who could keep was almost unheard of. And now, having one person who can keep in a team is almost unheard of. Like, we have moved that far.
With KKR, would you not say that the best keeper is probably not even in the 11 because of combination issues, not because he's not a good player? Tim Seifert is not able to make the 11. Finn Allen is coming in as an impact sub. And then it's the Indian guy who is not even a specialist wicketkeeper, mind you. Krish Raghuvanshi is not a specialist wicketkeeper. He's been told to do this job now, right? And so I think...
But there are no specialist wicketkeepers anymore, Sean.
Also,
that's basically what we're saying, right? If you look at it, there are no specialist wicketkeepers anymore. Like, the going ahead, Rishabh Pant might be one of the last guys who sort of plays the majority of his career 90% of the time as a wicketkeeper. Sarfraz has retired. We are moving, even Tim Seifert doesn't always keep, right? So we are moving well beyond the point where anyone is a specialist wicketkeeper anymore. And we started talking about Seymour Clarke, right?
Yeah.
So I think from that perspective, what we're talking about is that was what a specialist wicketkeeper was then. And then if you look at Rishabh Pant or Sarfaraz Ahmed, those are the sort of modern versions of a keeper, a specialist keeper. Yeah. And they're completely different to what Seymour Clarke is, right? And completely different to what, what a specialist wicketkeeper was in the 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s. So a specialist wicketkeeper now might end up being someone who only keeps 70% of the time or 80% of the time, right? Going ahead in the future. And that's how these things might change.
We haven't even factored that in. Like when we go into that and, look at the different sorts of, prototypes of players we'll see, then I think that would make for a piece for another day. And that would actually, like, when we were talking about Ankush Raghuvanshi, I just remembered that there were chats that when the WPL was going on, the UP Warriors, I think they were talking about Phoebe Litchfield possibly keeping wickets, which did surprise me a bit. Like, I don't think she has ever done it, like, as much in professional cricket. It has to be very few games, even if she has. But then these are the sorts of things that are now coming up, right? If the team combination is such, someone who is not even a wicketkeeper might have to adapt and become a wicketkeeper because the team needs it. This is the role of keeping in modern T20 cricket.
So I think that's one of the more interesting things, just to wrap all this up, is there are two options sometimes in modern cricket. Sometimes you have to wicket keep because there are no wicket keepers available. And sometimes you are the wicket keeper and you're the third wicket keeper in the side. And that's where we've got to. That's how much this sport has changed.
Absolutely. So thank you so much, guys, for joining us on this Footmarks. I hope you all liked what we brought about T20 wicket keepers, and obviously it ended up being a larger conversation about keeping and batting in general in the history of cricket and how that has changed all along, as you will always expect with Jared. So thank you so much for joining us. Goodbye.
Don't goodbye yet, because he's just saying goodbye to the podcast audience, by the way.
Yes.
So if you're watching live, don't leave. I just had a look at the odds, Cheyenne, just before, as you were doing and I've lost it. They had got into even money that we were going to finish this game, and now it's gone back to where it was before. So what that usually means, Cheyenne, is there was no rain for a little while, and now there's rain again. So there's still a good chance that we finish this game. It's obviously going to be very heavily restricted. Me and Cheyenne will hang around as long as we can. I'm sure some of our friends will pop in later if they want to come in as well. It might be a fun 5-over game or 10-over game. Although if you're KKR, you are not in a good position for this to be a limited game. Just to catch you up on the news, Sunil Narayan is ill and Varun Chakravarti is injured. The ball was swinging early on. KKR lost a couple of wickets. They're massively behind in the game, but we only went 3.5 overs in, so we haven't seen a lot of cricket. We're going to take another 30-minute break here, where we will go off and stretch our legs and do some other work in that time. We're going to play the MS Dhoni Paradox video, and then we're going to play a little bit of the KKR all-time 11. So there's some great content to come. And then after that, we might have to come up with another podcast for me and Cheyenne to talk about as well. But thanks to everyone who's listening so far. And we will come back when we know anything more about the rain or lack of rain or no rain, or if the game is called off, we will certainly be back. And we know there's a bunch of super chats. So when we come back in half an hour, even if we're just updating you on the rain, we'll run you through all the super chats as well. But thank you to everyone so far, and we'll see you in a little while. But don't go, because MS Dhoni, the Paradox, is about to start in 3, 2, 1. Cricket has never finished at the close of play. It lives in the arguments, the memories, the comment sections. Cricket makes you talk. Combox is entering that chat. Only should come with trigger warnings. It will not be well received by all. It should at the very least have a not safe for work label. But it's also something that should have been done a long time ago. The term anchor first started being used in the 1980s. It was really the first role we had for white ball batting, even before all the balls were actually that color. In the 1990s, we added the term finisher. Both of these words come from Australian cricket. Jeff Marsh, the father of Sean and Mitch, was the anchor, even if Desmond Haynes had also played the same role before. Then came Michael Bevan as the finisher, a player who was made for the final 25 overs of an ODI to either finish the innings or the match. The first role is seen as negative, not least because coaches kept pushing players into it when they had other things they could give, often holding back your best player, punching full tosses down the field for one, and doing the unsexy work of batting. But the finisher, Who doesn't want to be that guy? Most of Bevan's batting was earnest running between wickets, a geometrical understanding of fielding angles, and the odd checked, perfectly timed boundary. There was nothing really sexy about it. But when Bevan's gym body was thrusting his hands towards the sky while his exceptionally white teeth glistened in the SCG light towers, it was a glorious thing to behold. And if Bevan got some love for this back in the 90s, what happened to Dhoni in his role as the finisher was another universe entirely. I mean, MS Dhoni hit the 2011 World Cup 6, but even before that, he had hair. Bharat Sundaresan's book on Dhoni has about 25 pages on it. He was a different character, almost seemingly alien to Indian cricket culture at the time. While the entire conversation about cricket got so loud, he managed to stay very quiet. But then he hit sixes, won World Cups, and also took over the IPL. He was a one-man vibe, bordering on a religion at his peak. This broad-chested big hitter really did sex up cricket in many ways. So the next sentence is about to hit very hard to some people. In fact, you might want to sit down or hold on to something. Maybe even get AI to reshape it into something more acceptable to your ears. Because MS Dhoni is a finisher, but he is also an anchor. He is a finishing anchor. My latest book is The Art of Batting. It delves deep into how the best players ever made their runs. Get your copy today. The Ranchi keeper has gone beyond cricket into another realm of fame. He doesn't really play away games because every ground in India, and in the ones he's not playing there, are full of his fans. Not of his team, but of him. His leadership, charisma, and keeping also form part of the conversation, as does the talk of him finishing. Find any blog on cricket online, and someone will say great things about the man. And that is fine. But at good areas, we never met a player we didn't want to nerd out on. And we've covered his chasing before, what makes him different and why that works. Like how he defers risk in the middle overs, tries to be 10 off 10, and then strike at 2 runs a ball at the death. It is not unique, but it is still very rare, even after everyone in the world has seen him do it. But in our minds, though, this pattern is the very definition of a finishing anchor. A traditional anchor in T20 cricket meets the following criteria. He has to have a really high average, bats at par or below strike rate for most of the innings, and then bashes it at the death when they're set. Virat Kohli is clearly one of the best known anchors ever. And these two have completely different roles and completely different entry points. Yet when you actually look closely, heaps of similarities. Even though it's not evident from the raw numbers, both Virat and Dhoni have a similar approach to constructing a T20 innings. They take time to get set, defer risk in the middle overs, and then maximize the death. The reason that you never notice it with Dhoni, and you do with Virat, is because Dhoni essentially chops off the initial period. So you see less of the slow from him. If we take a look at their raw values, Virat and Dhoni both average around 39, whereas Dhoni strikes a little bit faster. But the overs that Virat bats in are slower than when Dhoni is facing. So when you compare their true strike rates, things change. Virat has a true strike rate of 3, while Dhoni has a true strike rate of 0. This accounts for venues too, so Dhoni is still worse than Virat even after playing at the hard home ground. But Dhoni's true average is 19 compared to 11 for Virat. So weirdly, Virat is the faster batter and Dhoni is better at batting longer, which is the absolute opposite to how their raw numbers and most people would see them. Context in limited overs really changes everything. So on that anchor list, high average, check. Neutral or below par strike rate, check. Bashes at the death overs, check. And so there's no doubt here that he should be considered as an anchor. But he is also, without any doubt at all, a finisher. So the term finishing anchor was born. But there is a cricketing reason for his style. One of the great ironies of Dhoni's career is that despite playing for a team centered around spin and being one of the best captains of wicket-keeping of the turning ball, he wasn't good at striking. Until 2019, for anyone who has faced at least 500 balls of spin in the IPL, Dhoni has the worst true strike rate. And this holds true for every white ball format he's been part of, with his true strike rate being -21 in T20 internationals and -7 in ODIs. One thing that former Indian analyst Himanesh Ganju told us was that Dhoni was a good player of classic spin, not necessarily a great player of the faster modern spinners. So think more of Warne and Murali and less of Varun Chakravarti or Sunil Narine. And Brian Lara was thought of as a great player of spin, but like Dhoni, he liked it when the ball went up out of the hand. And the longer Dhoni's career has gone, the less of those bowlers even exist. Some of his IPL issues are old man who doesn't have knees anymore, just dragging it down. But the problem existed well before his knees gave out. If we see Dhoni's true values versus spin by year in the IPL, even before 2016, there's only 2 seasons where his true strike rate was positive. Now, if it was only slightly negative, we'd understand. However, in 3 of those years, it's below 25. That means he's a quarter of a run slower than we would expect when facing the turning ball. And part of that has to be a choice he is making based on how he thinks he can make runs. And since 2016, it's only gotten a lot worse. There's been no positive true strike rate seasons, and his best was in 2018, where his true strike rate was -11. He is basically forfeiting spin overs. If we compare it by period, before 2016, he was -11 against her. However, from 2016 to 2019, it's -27. 27. His inability to hit spin further emphasizes the need to get his entry points absolutely perfect. To maximize his ability, you really don't want him to come in when there are a lot of spin overs to come. But you also want him to face a few balls, as he doesn't feel comfortable hitting from the first delivery. And that's because one of his main skills is reading a pitch. So his ideal entry point would be from the 13th over, where he can take 10 to 15 balls to get set, and he won't face more than an over to a spin, and then he can bash pace at the end. The issue with this approach is that you're putting a lot of faith in both your ability not to get stuck versus spin, and also pulling off a good death hitting game. And unfortunately for Dhoni in international cricket, it was the former that caused issues. Remember, before 2016 versus spin, he was a -11 on true strike rate. And in that same time, he was -32 in T20 internationals. That would make him the worst amongst batters to have faced 200 balls of spin in that period. This is Babar Azam in the Big Bash bat. He's got a lower true strike rate than Ravi Bopara and Colin Zaboya. And you really don't expect Dhoni to be compared to a 40-year-old Kenyan leg spinner turned late career batter. And amongst the 3 white ball formats, T20 internationals are by far Dhoni's worst. But what makes this even harder to explain is what happens after 2016. His IPL and ODI numbers fall off a cliff to -28 in both. But in T20 internationals, the format that troubled him the most, where he couldn't hit a 6 if a spinner bowled a bunch of full tosses with all the fielders inside the circle, he actually gets better. His true strike rate improves to -4. And this might be explained by who he is as a cricketer, because he's not normal, is he? When he makes the decision, he is fundamentalist about it. So some of his play against spin is not that he couldn't score quickly. He decided that this was his method in that format or team. And then in a new situation, he just changes. But early on in his career, his usage is truly bizarre. In T20 internationals before 2016, he entered before the 13th over 46% of his innings, and he was terrible in those situations. True strike rate of -24. Even if we give him some leeway for early wickets, -24 is just really bad. It's match losing on most days. But once he enters from the 13th over, he's at a neutral true strike rate with an incredible true average. And this is ideally where you want him. And a case study of bad usage were the 2009 and 10 World Cups. The structure of the batting at the time was Gautam Gambhir, Suresh Raina, Yuvraj Singh, Rohit Sharma, and Yusuf Pathan. All of those players are better at hitting the white ball when it's spinning. And so what you don't do is send Dhoni ahead of any of these guys when spin is in play, especially Yusuf Pathan. Across the 2 World Cups, they played in 10 games together. Yusuf doesn't bat in 2 of those matches, so 8 innings. There's only one time when he comes in ahead of Dhoni. And weirdly, that was the 16th over against South Africa in 2010, when it would have made a lot more sense to send Dhoni in. So that's 8 innings where you have the best hitter of spin bowling in Indian cricket up to that point, and you actively try not to use him. And if you're curious, across the 2 tournaments, Dhoni made 81 off 96 balls with 4 dismissals when he entered before the 13th over, compared to 90 off 50 with 1 dismissal when he entered after it. And remember, when Dhoni started, T20 cricket was a steam-powered era. We just didn't know that much. Even if Dhoni was a steam-pumped T20 player before it was cool. But India wouldn't use Yusuf's 176 strike rate against spin all that much. And then they dropped him for 3 back-to-back Asian World Cups. From 2012 to 2016 editions, India had the 6th worst scoring speed versus spin in the middle overs. And it wasn't just Yusuf, India also misused Raina down the order. So India missed out on their spin stars. But in terms of Dhoni, they had one of the best pace hitters out of place as well. This means that India had an incredible T20 player, but didn't quite use him well until he was almost done, which is more bizarre because he was using himself. And in many other ways, he was a genius and pioneer. But we are looking back at this like people who knew what was happening. This was a period where South Africa were moving AB de Villiers all around the place because people didn't know that much. Also, while players were learning more about T20, international teams were trying to assemble the Avengers and doing it very poorly. Until 2015, Dhoni played 52 T20s for India and 28 of those were in World Cups. So after that, from 2016 to 2019, almost a quarter of his games were T20 internationals. So it's not a complete coincidence that his improvement in the format coincides with him having more time to focus on it and the prestige of it increasing all at the same time. Not to mention that for years, Dhoni was keeping, captaining and banning across all three formats and the IPL simultaneously. That's not ideal. And retiring from Tests certainly gave him a bump, but he was also just passing his best. So Dhoni has been a great T20 player and yet never even got close to as good as he could be. And that is part of his fascinating legacy. He really took over early T20 cricket by using what had worked in ODIs. And then when T20 changed, he assumed this new, bizarre role. Dhoni felt like a player from the future, and during his career, it changed so fast that he ended up chained to the past. But even in that, he is pioneering this new role, the anchor that finishes. Sometimes, do you scream because of how much you love cricket? Well, then here's another video for you. Or if you like books, you can buy mine, The Art of Batting. And if this video is for you, howl into the bell icon.
Hello and welcome to yet another edition of an IPL all-time 11 pick. Today I have with me Varun Alvaconda, who is going by Yusuf Pathan today. That's the only time you can find some name of his on social media, otherwise you can't. And I also have Rob Barron, who has come, I don't know with what grenades today, but he's here. And you can find him on as Monsieur Judge on Twitter. And I'm Saurabh Somani, Saurabh_42 on Twitter. And we are going to be picking KKR's all-time 11. We have changed the order up a little bit. Originally, we intended to do this in the order that the teams finished in IPL 2025. And we stuck to it for the first 5 teams, but we have just changed it up a little bit for the next 5. So that's why KKR today. And we will be going Varun first, Saurabh second, Rob third. Rob first.
Rob first.
Oh yeah. Sorry, Rob first. Yeah. It's Rob first.
Then it's you second, then I'm last. Yeah.
I think I was just subconsciously so scared of Rob's first pick that I just. But yeah, we'll be doing it in a snake style draft. So Rob picks, then I pick, then Varun picks, then Varun picks, then I pick, then Rob picks, and we go like that until we pick a 12. We are going to pick a playing 11 and then a 12th man, no impact sub. And only the stats for KKR count. So if a player has done special things with another franchisee, or he has done special things for KKR but not so great for another franchise, only what they've done for KKR counts. And the usual rules apply, only 4 overseas players, and they have to have played at least 15 matches for KKR. So are we all set for the picks, gents? What do you think about the KKR 11? Like, was it, when you were making your list, did you come across any surprises, or was
I think there's 4 obvious names and everything else is rogue.
Yeah, hardest team. 2 overseas you have to pick, and then you can pick the next 2 out of a hat, really. And like half the team picks itself, and the other half you can, with however you want to do it, with numbers or playing well in big games, or you like them, you can make a case for loads and loads of people. And the ones you think, you go through the names, you're like, well, he should, and then you look at the numbers, like, no, it's not him. No, it's not him. I found this one very difficult. So I'll start, and I won't go with the open goals. You can tap those over the line. I want Tripathi to be in this team because I love him. And he's one of the people that, when you look at the numbers in isolation, that he's like in a group of about 8 people that you could pick, I think. And I'm going for him because I can't think of this team without him in it. With KKR, with he was one of the first to decide. Right, okay, we're going to increase the strike rate when we've just lost a wicket. I'm not going to come in and block it around and get us, steadily back into it. I'm just going to hoof it from the start and hope for that. And his numbers don't look like he does that, right? What's his strike rate? 135.
Yeah, so.
It's no, but when you say it's basically the same as Yusuf Pathan's, then all of a sudden you're like, actually, when he started doing it, when he was in this bunch, I thought he was the guy, and it was so fun. Like from a betting point of view, the market never worked it out that the first 6 over line had to go up when he came in and not come down, which it does for every single other player who batted 3 back then. I can see this one getting. I mean, obviously, you're not allowed to overrule anything I say because that's not how this works, and I'm the oracle. But he only played 28 games?
Yeah, 27 innings, I think.
And only batted 27 times. But I still want him as my number 3 in this team. I love the guy. He's really fun to watch. When was he? 5-6 years ago for this lot. I just want him in there.
He played 20 and 21.
And when you look at Rana, who'd be the other, you can have both. You can have Rana as well as Tripathi in their all-time team if you want. The numbers are nearly the same, aren't they? Rana, perhaps it's more 60s because he's bigger and stronger than Tripathi.
Rana's the better player of spin amongst the two as well. That's the other
thing.
Rana's pretty useless versus pace.
But Tripathi can just come in number 3 and get on with it. And when some of the guys they've had opening historically haven't been smashers, and you want that number 3 to carry on the impetus or increase the impetus a bit. I liked his role. I thought he was no nonsense. Let's get on with it at number 3. And I think 23 in innings, pretty good in that spot. It's fine. But when you go through, there's a few that you go up. Obviously, there's a big long list of people that have got about the same numbers, and I'm going Tripathi at that probably number 3 in this team just because of how he.
Your voice is going a little bit, or is it just for me?
It feels like you sound like you're underwater there.
Yeah. Okay, so it was not just for me.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
So we missed
Jared's fault. I think basically, right, there's loads of people you could go for as their number 3, but I really like Tripathi, so I'm going for him. I can't
I think his numbers do hold up, so you'll be happy. Like his true strike rate is +10, so it's pretty good for them. So yeah, they do hold up.
Yeah, I mean, I also feel like Tripathi is a reasonable shout. Although, Rob, you did say that he's the first one to figure out you have to increase. But I don't know, a strike rate of 135 doesn't sound like he hit it too well, no? I mean, even if he understood his role, maybe he didn't do it too well.
Yeah, and like I say, this is one you can shoot down. But if you list all the people that could be number 3, I think he's the one I want in my all-time KKR team.
Yeah, that I see that. Yeah, that's fair. Oh, it's my pick right now. I'm tempted to not go with the open goal, but I also want to be the one to pick this guy, so I'll just pick Andre Russell.
I think that makes sense.
One of the obvious open goals, obviously. Andre Russell. I think for my money still, peak Andre Russell is the greatest T20 player overall that I have seen. In terms of what he could do with the bat, how he could bowl through phases, how he was a gun fielder. I have not seen anybody more complete than that he was at his peak. And his batting was just, I think nobody has done what he has done. No, I certainly not as consistently. Andre Russell, what he has done. So I would, just for his batting alone, I would have picked him. But the fact that he could also bowl, I mean, as recently as 2024, he was he was doing it with the ball for them, right? He was amazing with the ball in 2024. He didn't get to bat much that time because Narayan was having the season of his life, and then Shreyas Iyer was also making runs. Venkatesh Iyer was making runs, so he didn't get much batting time. But he did it with the ball in 2024, and then he just had one poor season in 25, and he's gone now. So, yeah, Andre Russell it is, because I wanted to be the one to pick him. That's why.
It's fair. I mean, he's most obvious pick for any team, pretty much. He's one of those, isn't he? It's like
Yeah.
definitely him. But he would probably get in as a bowler in their all-time 11. Like he's a wicket every 14 balls, isn't he? Across 11 years. I mean, that's pretty good going. I know. Recently, it's easy to think of Andre as just somebody that is definitely going to get whacked at the death, but he was the guy until pretty recently that you threw the ball to when you wanted a wicket, and he could crank it right up when the good Andre, the Andre that had knees, he was really fast. And to have a strike rate with the bat of what, 175 is it for KKR? When he
175,
started, he started in 2014.
Yeah.
When there were some right plodders, stinking the place out, and he was like, "No, lads, what you're meant to do is hit it into the crowd. Like, just enough of this nonsense." And yeah, he's been awesome for ages, and he could still probably get in some IPL teams now. The powers are definitely waning, and the bowling.
I think with the number of injuries that's happening, Rob, he's probably not far off being a replacement player at the rate it's happening.
True, him and Pollard could come back and roll back the years, couldn't they? I mean,
It's
maybe not Chris Dale, but never say never.
Yeah, a couple more injuries, maybe Malinga comes back. So who knows what the hell's happening with at the rate things are happening.
Yeah. I mean, even Shane Bond is there at the coaching staff. But although Shane Bond, if he comes back, he'll just get injured again. So maybe not.
Yeah,
But Andre Russell is, KKR's second highest run scorer and second highest wicket taker. You wouldn't have thought he's that high up, right? He's the second highest. He's in fact
I think
just
he played
beaten.
so long for them. He's basically part of the furniture, isn't he? At this point, like it's just like he's just there.
Yeah.
That's what all of us assume.
I mean,
He's
that's why
bowled.
he's
Sorry,
bowled.
he's
Yeah.
bowled less overs than Chakravarti, and he's got
Wow.
25 more wickets.
Amazing.
Riddle me that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd argue like a lot of those are like filthy death wickets, but still, I think you'd still take it from your all-rounder. But yeah.
Yeah.
Just
And
think
he's a lot of
great.
people, compare him and Pollard. I still maintain that I would pick Russell over Pollard if I have to choose just between two of them. Ideally, they would both be in my team if I'm making some sort of all-time team. But if I have to just choose between two of them and there's one spot left, I'm picking Dre Russ every time.
Yeah, same. I didn't know that was actually a competition. Like,
Oh, there is.
In my head,
because see,
yeah.
Pollard has done it in a lot of high-profile matches, right?
Yeah.
He's been man of the match in one MI final. I think he's done it in some qualifier. He has done it or on key matches where qualification is hinges on. So he's and plus some of his fielding grabs have been quite spectacular. So that sort of adds a little bit to the aura, and the batting I think mainly because he has done it in so many important games, like or not important that way, but higher viewership games. That's why there's an equivalence between them. But Russell has played in only one IPL final. That's incredible.
and they were too good for him, and that they were just so good that he wasn't needed, right?
Yeah. And in 2014, he was on the bench, man, while some others were in the final who maybe Rob is going to pick next.
Do you know Dre Russ? Didn't he early, before or as he was starting his cricket career, he was able to sprint 100 meters in like 10:9. Like he is an unbelievable athlete, Andre Russell.
Yeah.
And we forget that half of his career that we watched, he's been injured for, and he's been kind of patching himself up to bowl.
Yeah, but
the
like he's
odd
from
over
Jamaica,
when-
isn't that like a slow speed for Jamaicans? Like in terms of 100 meters.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah, there's something in the air there that makes you really fast. But bloody hell,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
to be, he's just an all-round mega gun, isn't he?
Yeah.
And he walks into this team, and he walks into the IPL all-time 11 for me as an overseas
Yeah.
as well. Which,
Same.
Come on, Environ, what you got?
I'm gonna let Saurabh take the open goal. So I'm gonna take my namesake. I'm going Yusuf Pathan. He's so fucking underrated. It's the third podcast I can finally pick him. I'm taking him. Right? I think he's an automatic pick. People don't think of him that way. He was so good versus spin. Right? I think this sub KKR season, he's averaging like 100 at a strike rate of 160 versus spin, Rob. Like he's so bloody good.
Yeah, he was the guy very early on. Before that kind of player existed, he was existing. And yeah, I think Warne has a fair bit to do with it, and Rajasthan have a fair bit to do with it in breeding him and allowing him to be the guy for want of a better expression. But he kept doing it, didn't he? I remember was it the 2011 World Cup, the 50 over World Cup that India won, where he didn't have the one in India. Was that 2011?
Yes.
that was it.
I had so much money on him to get the most sixes in that tournament, because on the stats that I did back then, thinking of stats that you did 15 years ago, what geek. But I remember doing this. I'm like, sixes per ball. This guy is off the scale. Like, he is off the charts. And he just wasn't rated as that much of a six hitter. He didn't do it in that particular tournament. However, for someone to be that good at hitting sixes way back when, and you could chuck in the ball every now and again, but he's had the blistering, memorable innings, hasn't he? From pulling games out of the bag from nowhere.
2011, actually, India started with him in the playing 11, but he had a couple of poor outings, so then they switched to Suresh Raina. Not a couple, I think throughout the league phase they persisted with him, and then they went to Raina just before the knockouts or from the quarterfinals against Australia. So they did, persist with him, but it was also a stacked batting order, and he was coming in at 7, so it was not really easy.
He's probably too far ahead for that ODI team, I think, in terms of thinking. If he was coming through now, what you'd probably do is maybe bat him at 5 or 6 and just tell him, just attack. If he averaged 30 at 120, so be it. We'll take it. Right? Yeah. My second pick is Robbie. I'm on Robbie. I think it's like his KKR career amuses me so much, because if you talk to Robbie about T20 cricket, he sounds like an absolute dinosaur at times, right? He's like, well, India should aim for like a 45, 50 run power play. It's like we need batters like what do you call it? Vaibhav Suryavanshi needs to calm it down. It's like Abhishek Sharma needs to take 10 balls to get set. But you look at his KKR career, it's so intent-filled into some of those seasons, right? And I think he plays for 5 or 6 seasons, and he has 2 all-time great, 2 great seasons in those 5 seasons for them, right? He's big reason why they win in 2014 too. I think he's very. So I actually think Rob, this is a weird parallel. He might have been a better version of Rahul Tripathi for KKR from 2016 to 2018-ish.
Yeah, his output's better, isn't it? He scores more runs. He gets 6 more runs an innings, or 7. He's like 30 runs an innings, which is really good for you. And they don't really have anyone else. Like, I don't know who we're going to pick yet. But if you go down the list and you're talking about runs per innings, he's the only one that's getting 30 in the ones that I considered, right? And he's getting it at a decent enough lick. What was he going at? 136. And that's going back down the years. When did he start? 2014, when people weren't doing it. I mean, I loved him back in the day. I feel very uncomfortable saying nice things about people that I work with. It doesn't sit right with me. But he walked into my team. Unless you're gonna kick him out, go Chris Lynn, and then you have less to work with the bowlers, which I didn't think was the right answer. I think the only way Athapa doesn't play is if you kind of shuffle stuff round. You probably end up without a wicket keeper, that kind of thing. But he was really, really good at cricket, wasn't he? Like, there's no doubt about that. Got bucket loads of runs at a decent lick, and like you say, Varun, when he had the big seasons and he sort of, he went into this intent guy. That's what I've been screaming out for ever since I started watching T20 cricket, which is like he's not quite the anti-Callis, but Callis bored me so much with watching him for T20. I hated it. And when you have a guy that's like in his own team, and this is what you're meant to do, right? You're meant to hit it. There's a power play. There's fielders in here, and they're not out there. So stop hitting it to third man for a single. You boring bastard, Jack. And it's just like every single ball is 1. Like, what was his strike rate? 108. 1 to third man. Boring. I've seen it before. And when we looked at that innings earlier on, where he got 40 off 42 and didn't bowl in the Haddin game, it's like, what are you doing, man? I'm so sick of this.
He was 12 or 5 in that game, by the way, right? I think I remember. I think I was texting you that.
He was 12 or 5 and he went 40 or 42.
Correct. Yeah.
It's just horrible. And then Gale gets 100 or 50 or whatever it was. It goes, well, that was all very nice, Jack, and your average looks very good, but this is how you're meant to play this game. And he got away with it for years in the IPL. Like, he got loads and loads of runs, but he got it at a horrible strike rate. And they were like, and back in the day, right, and this annoyed me so much in the early IPL. I was like, what do you mean you want an opener that bats the whole innings for 50? What do you mean that's what you want? Like, you're just wasting half your innings with some stupid idiot plodding along. Like, and he knew that he could do it as well. He was like, I know I can score 52 not out in this innings, and isn't that wonderful for the team? No, it ain't, because you've chewed up half the balls. And all the others have to go at strike rate 350 to make up for this disgrace. But they just did it year in, year out, didn't they? They're just like, oh, yeah, let's do it again. And we're going to need one of these blockers at the top of the order. Why the hell that was a thing for so long? I mean, at least now it's coming out of the game. But, yeah, bloody hell. Athap was ahead of his time, wasn't he?
Oh yeah. He was. I mean, I think I don't think he's as dinosaurish as you make him sound. I don't think I've heard him say we need 45-50 in the power play, man.
No,
He
I think
says 60.
I think I was talking to Behram about this. He was like, "Oh, India should actually try to aim for 45-50 and then get set and take down the death overs." I was like, "Come on, Robbie, man, how are you getting more anchor pulled the longer you work with us?"
I mean, Robbie himself would have got more than 45-50 in the power play.
Yeah,
if he
exactly.
was
That's my
playing
point,
for
right? His
KKR.
KKR is so intent,
Yeah.
but he's so
Yeah.
anti-intent when he's talking about
No,
T20
no.
cricket.
To be fair, I haven't. He was in my team. I think he was in all of our teams as the
Yeah,
opener.
I think
So,
you can take the open goal, sir. Someone has to pick him at some point, please.
yeah. No, so before I do that, we'll just let everyone digest a little bit of Rob's rant on Jacques Kallis, and we'll
I haven't
just
started
take
that
a.
yet.
Okay, we'll let you with the prelude to the rant, and then we'll just take a short break and be back.
100 years ago, something truly remarkable happened in cricket. No one knew how to get Bradman out. And so, some of the smartest minds in English cricket got together in a smoke-filled room at Lord's, and they talked it out. It is no different than you talking with your uncle, with you whispering at the back of the bus, with you sitting around in the tea room arguing with your friends. This is what we do in cricket. We love the game, we talk about the game. And that is what we do at Combox, where the game lives on.
Before we go to the next pick, I just had to put this comment up, Rob.
Honestly, O's are honest. I was so close to going Manvinder Bisla. Honestly, it was the only one I was going to do when I went through the names. I was so close to
We
him.
love the game, but we love the stories. Fans have stories. Former players have stories. Journalists have stories as well. Combox brings them all together. The game lives on. The game lives on. Oh, Varun's here. I didn't expect that at all. The game lives on unless it's drowned out. And I can tell you now, let me just get the latest numbers here, that this is our chance of actually having a completed game. So not even getting back on, but having a completed game is currently at 20%. And over the last little while, probably there's been a lot more rain looking at the patterns here. So I would say at this stage, we are not going to have a game, but let's pretend we were going to. Kaushal has a super chat here, and he says, dropping Chakravarti the right call. We're pretty sure they didn't drop him, right? We're pretty sure that he was injured.
So he was, what was it? Trying to got injured taking a catch, wasn't it?
Correct.
Which is funny, because is that the first catch he's taken, Varun?
Yeah, must be this millennium.
So it is fascinating, because if you take Narayan and Chakravarti out of that side, this is like under CSK, isn't it, for the ceiling of this team?
But you also talked about the form, right? So you don't even know, especially Chakravarti. Narayan still, I mean, you'd back him.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
no,
I was
no,
saying before this tournament too, right? The issue with KKR is their bowling is not good enough to be better than par, and I didn't trust their batting to consistently make big scores. Because I was like, I took one look at the batting order. I'm like, I don't know how they hit spin. Right, that's my main issue with this team.
That was the same issue last year. They
Yeah.
had issues against spin. I don't think they fixed that, did they?
It's kind of a weird pattern when you think about it. And Venky's quite smart, so you kind of think that he would have worked his way through this. But essentially, you can be bad against pace, right, as a batting unit, if you then have something to counter that, right? So let's say you've got a great team of hitting spin. So all you need to do then is make sure you have spinners and you make the wicket spin, right? So you now have a team that can hit spin, and you have the spinners, and you're fine. So if they were great against pace, and they also had a great bowling attack for pace, right?
Yeah.
And they're going to make the wickets absolutely green tops and zipping around sideways and everything. I think you can make the claim at that point that there is a chance for them to do well, right?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, they are neither. And so they're in a really weird situation where they're
They're a bit
okay at
unlucky
hitting
too.
pace. I'm not sure they're great against it. And they've got a couple of bowlers that when they come back will be better. But again, I don't know if they're like going to be the best bowling team against pace going ahead, are they?
Yeah, but isn't the issue that every team is good at hitting pace in the IPL? Like, is there a bad team at hitting pace?
No, but that's contextually, of course. There's going to be one team who's going to average 50 at a strike rate of 250, right? And there's going to be another team who's averaging 40 at a strike rate of 170. So there, contextually, you could be bad at hitting pace, can't you?
Yeah.
That's fair. I think
Yeah, that's
fair.
what I mean. My point is, if that's what they came into the season having, then it only makes sense if you've got the bowlers to back it up. Like, it's the old Chennai thing, right? Like, if you make sure that your team is actually completely matched, I think that would make a lot of sense.
So I was just looking at KKR in 2024. So they had Narayan going at 198. So they had Russell who was going at 153 versus spin. Shreyas at 152. Ramandeep was at 142, but he barely faced any spin. And Full Salt was at 141. So they almost don't have any of them in this team right now. Right? And Narayan is not coming into face spin because he's not opening the batting. They don't have Shreyas. They don't have Full Salt. Right? Andre Russell isn't part of the squad anymore. So almost anyone that could hit spin wasn't playing for them, right? That is a lot of flaws, right? So I don't know if you've seen this. Like, I think Harsha Boga is like, well, Rinku Singh should bat it forward, take responsibility. He can't hit spin, so like, why would you want him to come in and face more spin?
That's quite an interesting one. I didn't hear Harsha say that, but that goes back to our previous conversation about MS Dhoni of like, you're the leader, so you should bat up the order. It's like, well, not if you're not very good at the thing, right? that would be like, well, they're not taking a lot of wickets. Rinku Singh should take wickets. No one would ever say that, right?
In fact, it's what we hear with Bumrah, right? It's like teams are like, we always hear analysts and commentators like, Bumrah should be opening the new ball. Again, like, just because he's the best bowler doesn't mean he's a great new ball bowler automatically.
Yeah,
like, his best
you can make a
utility is
better
using him
team
in the
with
middle
him
and
not
death, right?
opening the bowling, right?
Yeah. So it's a bit silly at times, isn't it?
We've got a question here from Rohit. It says, not to be political, but Cheyenne, don't we want a biography of Imran Khan? Do you want one, Cheyenne?
Yeah, why not?
Wish Bollywood makes a good one. Also, Jared would recommend Bad Boy Billionaire on Netflix with Vijay Mallya's IPL scam was exposed. Yeah, I think on Imran Khan, it's actually, there's a couple of real open
pieces.
goals that I think in the next 20 to 30 years will be fixed. But Basil D'Oliveira and Imran Khan are two of the most obvious movies you'll ever come across. And even the Bob Woolmer one, right? Like, there's so many sort of obvious stories that can be made. You know, Imran Khan is probably, one of 5 globally known household cricketers, right? And then that was before he ran Pakistan and went blind in a jail for, because of his politics. Like, it really is. And not to mention that in the middle of all that, he was married to a glamorous English woman as well. Like, it is really one of the more baffling stories in the history. I don't know how you write the Imran Khan story, actually. I think maybe you start with him being like a young... I don't even know where you start it. It's such a fascinating story of... Have you guys seen the Bob Dylan movie?
No, I don't think
No.
I have.
So the Bob Dylan movie is quite interesting. They tried to frame it around the early part of Bob Dylan's life, and you end up kind of feeling like you're skirting through it a little bit. And then like you compare that to some of the great old biopics, right? Where the musical ones like the Johnny Cash or whatever, where you go from important moment to important moment. And I kind of think that like you either have to do a really tiny moment. Like, do you remember, have you guys seen the Steve Jobs movie? The proper one, not the Ashton Kutcher one?
Don't quite remember.
No.
if
So
I've
I
seen it.
think that's anchored, I could be wrong, but I think that's anchored around 3 of his like presentations, right? Or 2 of his presentations. And I think that with Imran Khan, like his career is so ridiculous. Like you probably have to do something on county cricket, right? And early career Imran Khan. You probably have to do
He
something
studied
around.
at Oxford, didn't he?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And did he play for Sussex? Was it Sussex? I'm trying to remember who he played for. You probably need to do something about early career Imran Khan. You probably have to do something about early Kerry Packer into reverse swing Imran Khan, right? That period. You have
Yeah, he
to do
played for
cornered,
Sussex.
Yeah, you have to do cornered Tigers.
Yeah.
You probably have to do Jemima Goldsmith at one point, just because they were one of the most glamorous couples in the world for a little while, right? And then you also have to do all the politics and the building of the hospital and the getting power and the losing power. And like, there's so much to cram in that it's like, those old politicians, like, is it Winston Churchill who released like 10 10 chapters of his biography? Like, Imran Khan's almost at that level. It's probably not a movie, right? It's probably like a
TV series.
Yeah, like maybe 4 episodes, 6 episodes.
I suppose so. Yeah.
It's completely bizarre, his life. It really is. Vijay Mallya's IPL scam. I don't even know what he means by that. I mean,
I heard
Vijay
about
Mallya
the
in
Bad
general.
Boy Billionaires show. I don't quite think I've watched it yet, but I've heard about this definitely.
I've heard about it. I've not watched it either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unlike all those good boy billionaires that are out there. This is. I think Mallya might be on there already. I'm just looking at the link, and he's on the page.
Yeah.
So maybe they've already made one of him. I have said
No. I think he's saying he recommends it for you to
you.
watch it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. I mean, as someone who's had small interactions with Vijay Mallya and his family before, I'm not even sure I'd want to watch it. But yeah, I will take a look. But I think also, Vijay Mallya is a fascinating person. If you remember, I don't know if you guys saw it, but there was a mini series made by Channel 9 on World Series cricket. Which is, it's like about 4 hours worth of footage. So they split it into 2 episodes, right? That is fascinating, right? It's so out there. The beginning of the IPL, I think, is 20 times more fascinating, right? Like, I really do think there's something there. RJ says, hi guys, do you think the CSK's coaches are outdated? Gentlemen?
Varun.
Yes, is the answer, I think. The tactics are definitely a bit outdated on there. As I keep telling Shayan, you can either be good and boring, or you can be shit and fun. They're shit and boring. And that is a cardinal sin in my eyes, right? You can't do both of those things. It's like, it's where we keep saying, right? You should, like, why is Ruthrajan opening with Sanjay Samson when you have Ayush Matra in your team? If you were Rutraj Gaikwad, surely you're telling the team, I want to bat at 4. So that I can make myself viable for the Indian team. It's much easier for him to get into the team batting at 4 than it is opening the batting. Right? If you want to be radical, you could make.
Right? We were talking about this.
Yeah, exactly.
The anchors and
The logic of both of them opening doesn't make sense to you because both of them hate the good length. So it's like
exactly
all a bowler has to do is you can line them up so easily. They're similar heights. They're the same batting hand, right? So
and
all you
Matra
need
slaps
if
good
you're
length, right?
Exactly. All you need is a competent red ball bowler to bowl
Yeah.
at the start with some movement, and both of them are sitting ducks, right? If you want to be radical, you could make an argument. Urvila and Matra should open, and you move Samson to 3 and Gaikwad at 4, right? That is going completely rogue and radical.
Yeah.
I also think it's quite fascinating of like, do you think CSK's coaches are outdated? It's a really old method, even when it was working. I remember Stephen Fleming hired me, and he hired me not long after. He was very upset. I think he mentioned, I don't know if he mentioned me by name, but he certainly mentioned my piece at a press conference when I said that if you look at CSK, they have the slowest starting batters maybe around 2016, 2015.
2018 maybe.
Was it
I remember
2018?
the piece. Yeah.
You should be my biographer. And I remember he was quite upset at that, and I was like, but surely you guys are looking at the fact that you want some players who start quicker and some players start slower, because you might end up with 2 guys who end up being 18 off 18 and they both go out. Like, you're just going to lose that game every time. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, if you can find guys who you can match with that, who are quite quick at starting, right, then you're in a completely different situation as a team. So I think that, obviously I've worked with Flem a little bit before. I think he is a more conservative coach, and in that kind of, I can't think of many things that CSK have pioneered outside of just Dhoni being ahead of the case when it comes to understanding some T20 stuff. Like, have they ever really pioneered things? I mean, they're big. I would say
Batting deep, I would say. I mean, I wouldn't say they were pioneers of it, but they had quite a lot of success with that in that
Yeah,
I think
successful
they
period, right? The
after I'd
2018.
say
but
nine-
South Africa did
21.
that in the 90s.
I was about to say, I
course.
think they might be the worst utilizers of batting depth I've seen since South Africa '99.
The only
With
other thing
90
I
for
would
three,
say
Varun.
is they're probably one of the first teams to really work out that if you ensure that you win about 80% of your games at home, it's going to be
Yeah,
very hard for
that's
you to
definitely
Oh,
get.
it.
I'd also say by like putting a lot of faith in your Indian core and all your
Yes,
overseas
actually,
players with
I'll
role
give them that.
players. That is pioneering it. I'd say.
These all feel like earlier things they did, though, right? Like
Yeah, very early.
that. I think Fleming came out this year, didn't he, and said that they need to attack more and everything, but they haven't. But then they've got Gaikwad opening.
Yeah, he also said there's no such thing as finishers anymore, which he's somehow both very old-minded and extremely woke at the same time. Yeah, I can't make sense.
Exactly.
Right?
He might
There's
be
something's
both.
not adding up here. Right?
Yeah. I think it's a sort of situation. I think Robbie talked about this recently. I think he make the claim that his brain is still worth a lot, and Stephen Fleming is a genius as well. If Stephen Fleming was in Indian, every comment about captaincy that ever came up, Stephen Fleming would be mentioned, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's just the fact he's from New Zealand and people don't remember some of the incredible stuff he did. So I think you still want to use his brain, but I do think it might be one of those situations where you want to make him the general manager or the overseer of the system. And what you need is someone who's going to come in and be who will just shake it up a little bit. But it's also probably the combination of Fleming and
Dhoni
right? Yeah, I think
for a
it's
long time.
yeah, I think it's the two of
This
them
might
together.
be the only time I'll say this sentence, but CSK need a Gautam Gambhir as a coach.
The only time. But are you just saying that so he's not coach of India anymore?
Also there. That would be a big bonus, yes.
We've
Yes,
got no-
certainly.
I should just say I just saw a flash on the screen and it's more rain. I think the last time I checked, let's see if I can just find it. 92% chance of being washed out. So we'll keep updating you as we know more. Oh, wait, I got the wrong question up. Andy says, are KKR better than CSK, even with Narayan and Varun? In my opinion, both bowling lineups are equally bad, but feel CSK's batting ends up being a lot better outside of Alan Magic. I think one of the big differences is still the flexibility that they can get out of their side. Because of someone like Narayan, the ability to sort of swing things around. Whereas I think that even with CSK, it just looks like even their best formulas, I'm not sure really 100% work, if that makes sense.
I think the only thing I'd give CSK a bonus on is I think they can hit spin, whereas I don't know who in KKR can hit spin.
Yeah.
That's the one thing I will
Exactly.
give
The
them.
middle order for KKR, I still feel like it's a bit shaky. I sort of feel like I'm with Andy here. I would say CSK do have a better batting lineup than KKR, like just based on current form. And with Brevis coming back in, I think that automatically makes them stronger. So they
Yeah.
cover more bases. And the 4 to 6 that we were talking about, Jared, right? With Sarfaraz, Brevis, and who was the other? Dubey, yeah. Sarfaraz, Brevis, and Dubey, and how they utilize them. If they do that properly and they get Matre to open, as I have been yelling over and over again, I think they are a better batting lineup than KKR.
I think they have a much better future, is the way that I would look at it, right? I know obviously they've got Dhoni, who's 65 years old at the moment. But I think there's something that you can realistically build around in the future. But the one thing I would say about KKR is, as I said, with Narayan and Cameron Green, right? Let's just assume that Cameron Green can bowl at one stage or another. It gives them a flexibility that CSK doesn't really have, right? And so CSK has some interesting specialists. But yeah, future-wise, CSK looks like a much better side for me in the next little while.
Definitely.
I think also this all depends on Chakravarti. If Chakravarti comes back,
Yeah.
I feel very differently because their ability
For
to
sure.
strangle the game from the 4th over to the 14th is just next level, right? And at the moment, they can't really do that. And so if they can combine those two guys back to do that again, I feel very differently about them. I had CSK as a team who could win games though this year. So I'm not completely out on them yet. I just think they've had a bad start, but also I don't think they're trying to get the most out of their team at the moment. You could make a pretty big claim here though that like I think you can fix up KKR a little bit just by getting rid of Rahane, can't you?
Sorry, just by?
Getting rid of Rahane.
But then the thing is, what do they do? What does their lineup look like without Rahane? We've been having these conversations a lot. But...
So you open the batting with Finn Allen and Seifert.
Okay.
You have Raghavanshi at 4.
Yeah.
You use Sunil Narain as a pinch hitter at number 4 or number 5 against spin. You've got
Ramandeep. You mean
Ramandeep.
Raghavanshi at 3?
Yeah, I said that, didn't I?
Yeah, you said 4.
It's a 4.
Oh, sorry, I meant 3. Sorry. You've got Rinku and Ramandeep further down. So that's got me to
5
about
and 6.
Right? And you've got there's someone else we're missing. Is it Anakul? Roy?
Yeah, Anukul.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So you got him. So that gets you to 7, right?
Mm-hmm.
That seems to me a better top 7 than having Rahane in it. So Seifert and Allen gives you 2 bites of the cherry, right?
Yeah.
Isn't the issue still they can't hit spin in that team?
Exactly. Because if we're talking about power play bashing, is Rahane not doing that already? Like,
So
Yeah.
you can make the claim.
So Rahane's impact versus spin is minus 4.
I agree with that.
Yes.
Spin
I
is-
don't have
completely
Seifert
agree
or
with
Finn
you.
Allen, but I don't think I
Yeah.
think they're both around par.
Yeah, Seifert is a better player of spin, I think. We've seen that in the World
Yeah.
Cup as well. Like, he can play spin. But,
At least with Finn Allen, you're going to be nervous if you don't bowl a good spinner against him.
yeah.
That's
So
fair.
essentially, you set Green and Rahane out in this team, right?
Yeah, Green and Rahane in my
Yeah,
plan.
that's essentially.
If Green
it.
can't bowl, I don't know. I'm not
Yeah.
saying I know he hit really well last year, but it's not really about him. It's just that if he's not bowling, your better
Balance
option
issues,
is
yeah.
that gives you Allen and Seifert as a double chance to win games early on.
Yeah,
I did.
fair.
Even if Rahane's at his best,
Hmm.
Varun, can he win you a game with the bat? Because he has to go out.
He has
to
to
be
go
good.
out, yes.
He has
Yeah,
to go
That
out
is true.
at the score of 30, right? Whereas
Exactly.
the only other player we've seen that has that ability is Sunil Narain, right? Everyone else we have to expect to get to 40, 50, 60, but we can't allow that with Rahane because he might slow you down so much that it doesn't help you.
Yeah, for sure.
That's true.
Now, that's still not a good side. Like, I'm not saying I've made it magically a great side, but I think you can improve it. I same with CSK.
Can they find a way to get Rovman Powell in and shake things up a bit? Because they need to strengthen something.
But is
Yeah.
Rodman Powell going to help them hitting spin?
I honestly can't remember. Like I
It's
didn't.
the
It was.
same
I feel like
issue.
he was batting at 4 for West Indies in the World Cup for some reason.
He used to be a
Yeah.
terrible player of spin. We might have even done a video on this. And I know he worked really, really hard. Because I almost hired him. I wanted to bring him over to St. Lucia when I was there. Where is he? Rodman Powell. That's his spin. Yeah, I wanted to bring him over for a little while to captain because he was about 23, 24. And then surround him with players who could hit spin. That was my plan at the time. All right. Last 3 years, Rovman Powell, he is averaging 26 against spin with a strike rate of 125. They literally haven't got anyone on their roster who could play spin.
That makes sense. The thing is, we can't even tell Rahane, like, okay, can you trade off some average for striker? Because his average is bad versus spin too. So it's one of those things where it's like, he might just like be unplayable versus spin, isn't it? So
Do you know what his
it's a bit-
strike rate versus spin was in 2024?
It would be cheating if I looked at it because I'm looking at it right now.
I
Shah.
want to take a guess then. 110?
That's really bad, isn't it? 110.
Yeah.
Varun, do you have it? in
Is
front
it
of you?
110?
I have it. It's a 95 in 2024.
Okay.
95
That's
is
good.
what Darren Sammy used to average strike against spin. It might have been leg spin or whatever it was back in the day. Like, my God.
Jared, I'll tell you something funnier. Abhishek Sharma had a true strike rate of 119.
Yeah.
And in the most improved player piece, that's what I wrote, that there are players who have a lower strike rate than a true striker. I think we have a
I
live
think-
example right in front of us.
I'm pretty sure it's still higher than MS Dhoni in T20Is versus spin at one point.
Yeah, he had
Plus
some really low
Varun
ones. But I don't think he had low ones in 2024. Varun, that's
because he
the
barely
thing.
faced it, right?
It's 2024 is the
That's
thing
true,
here.
yeah.
Because Rahani's had some really low scoring years. He's had some years where he basically doesn't score at a run of ball, right? But by 2024, my God, the whole game has changed at that point.
So Blue Eagle was asking, wasn't he good in 2023 versus spin? So he averaged 20 at a strike rate of 136 in 2023 versus spin.
Exactly. Also, a pace
Compared
hitting
to
year, completely.
2024, it's a lot better. I'll give you that.
Yeah,
Honestly, if you give me that, I'll take it. I'll be honest, because he's so good versus pace.
almost all of his improvement is versus pace.
Yeah.
We actually have a video coming out about this shortly, and you can see it.
Yeah.
Where are we here?
Oh,
Mick
sorry.
Lebowski almost says something. Is Rudu the worst IPL captain tactics-wise ever?
Is he
no, I
worse
don't-
than Virat Kohli using Corey Anderson as a death bowler?
I don't think that's not Kohli though, is it? That was the whole team squad set
Yeah.
up. I would like to take some blame on that of myself, even though I had absolutely nothing to do with it. I think anyone involved with RCB at that stage should take the blame. Although I did say to them, he can't bowl, and they went, no, he'll be fine. I went, no, he literally can't bowl. I'm not even sure his back can get him through like 3 overs, guys. Like this, he's not an all-rounder.
Who's the other one, Varun, we keep talking about for bad captains? Rishabh Pant, another one that comes
Early
to my
Rishabh
mind.
Pant was all over the shop.
Even
Like, he
now,
really
I don't
was.
know, Jared, if he's the best captain in white ball cricket. He makes some rookie mistakes.
He does.
Like, he faces junk
he
pace
does.
to MS Dhoni. He's done that like twice in the IPL. Has he not, Varun?
See, again, is he a bad captain or is he just a fanboy? Like, I can't tell which one it is in that case, right?
He's probably one of the last professional captains I've come up against where I watch them and I do think to myself, is he not counting the overs? Right? Like, does he know how many overs are left and how many overs his major bowlers have? And if you go back, he's not as bad now, but a couple of years ago, he was getting it wrong quite consistently. And like, you know, when people go, oh, he's a bad captain, that's a bad captain. If you haven't even counted
He's,
correctly.
like actively he comes across as that. That's the issue, right? Another interesting one for me, I would say, is Hardik, because see, with Hardik, you had the Gujarat Titans run where he basically led a young team and they came within a ball of winning 2 titles back to back. And now he's gone with Mumbai. And sometimes you feel the same with Hardik too. Like, he's making such rookie mistakes at times. He is not using Bolt with the new ball. How do I even explain it? At times the bowling changes, the batting order even at times. It just gets a bit messy, I think. Like last year, Mumbai were really good, right? Like they were a very solid team overall. But I still think they fell a bit short ultimately.
Blue Eagle says, speaking of the future, I think Rutu, Sanju, Matre, Safraz, Urval, Khalil is a pretty good Indian core, but the overseas bunch might rival Kings 11. Yeah, you judge teams on the future basically on your
Indians.
on your Indian players. So because the overseas players come and go, but they do have Brevis, right? And I would say if you've got Brevis and you've got Noor Ahmed, I'm a little bit worried about Noor Ahmed at the moment, the way he's bowling, but let's assume he gets that back on track. That's 2 pretty good young overseas players as well. I've got no issues with the younger team.
Ellis
I
is
think-
pretty good too. I think
Hey?
I'd throw him in. Nathan Ellis is pretty
Nathan
good too if he's fit.
Bit older though, isn't he, Nathan Ellis? I don't
Is he
think
30?
he's-
Like, the
28.
odds are like if you're an Australian teamer, you're 30, isn't it? Like, when was the last time we saw a young Australian teamer?
yeah, 31.
31,
Yeah.
So
Figures.
yeah, I mean, you trade Ellis for a younger version, right? You know, if you can get someone a little bit younger that does a similar kind of job, and then I mean, I would probably this is not going to go down well, but I would probably trade Sanju as well for a younger player.
Oh, okay.
I would say to a team who's very close to a champion, to a title, and be like, you guys will win the title if you add Sanju Samson to your lineup. We can add Sanju Samson to your lineup. Give us your best 2 young players who are not going to be impactful now.
Are you
That's how
saying there's a
trades should
CSK Mumbai Indians trade happening in the near future? Because I feel like
So-
that would work well.
So who's the Mumbai players that you would make that trade for then?
They would always have young
Live
players, don't
trades.
they, Mumbai?
Yeah, but it has to be someone who's really good. It has to be someone that you think is legit.
Yeah.
Namandia?
Naman
I like
is a
him.
good shot. I like him.
Tilak,
But you also need
guys
the
have
value,
him?
don't you? Right? You need that level of value of players back in return, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Tilak and Namandhir, does that?
I mean, Tilak is
those
probably
Tilak
too
and
good to
Winwood.
put in that trade, isn't he, for
I
Sanju?
was about to say, would Mumbai? I don't know if Mumbai would trade him.
Yeah.
Tilak is also young right now, right? Yeah, you
Yeah.
guys are right. When
I'd
he
be
fixes his spin
shocked.
issues,
Yeah.
he'll be very good.
But you see where I'm going with this. Like, there must be a
Yeah.
trade where you could say, okay, you've got a player who's a fringe player at the moment who is quite young and we think is going to be quite good. And you've got a younger player on your list or a couple of younger players on your list that we think will be good in 4 years' time. We can put them all in our squad at the moment. The issue then is they might have, that's where the mega auction comes back. That's why you can't make trades like this because it gets a little bit awkward. But that's how you should be using Sanju Samson. We could be wasting a Sanju Samson season this year, right? I mean, so far, he's wasting it. But you know what I mean? Like, we could be getting nothing out of that season. And how does that help CSK if he comes back into form and they still don't get anywhere near the playoffs?
That is there.
Kaushal says, would CSK be good if Chennai still turned? Well, Noor Ahmed's not in the greatest form at the moment. And who's their second spinner?
Rahul Chahar, Akil Hussain.
Akil Hussain, maybe? But that's another overseas bowler then. You need two overseas
Yeah.
bowlers in.
To be fair, they're overseas. They've been short on overseas as well, right? In the playing
Also,
11.
would their batting like it if the pitch is turned? Like none.
That's
other
what I
than
was
Sarfraz,
thinking.
like, Travis
Dubey?
would hate it. Can Dubey handle a lot of turn?
That's what I was thinking. Dubey is a
Does
great
Dubey
spin
know this?
hitter, spin basher, but is he
Yeah.
like a...
Oh,
Great player
Prashant
of
Veer, sorry,
spin,
we
that's
forgot
tough.
Prashant Veer. He's can spin ball as well.
He's also, yeah, the Jadeja.
But I
right?
honestly could not tell you if his bowling is closer to me or Jadeja at this point because they don't.
Because
bowl
they've
him.
not bowled him yet. I mean, that's what
Yeah.
people were asking
Well, he's not the
yesterday.
second
Why is
spinner if
Prashant
he's
Veer
not being
playing?
bowled, is he?
Yeah.
Right, so, yeah, that's obviously there. I think Gaikwad is a good player of spin. I think, like, quality-wise,
Yes,
if
but
gets
he needs
set through the
to
middle
get
overs-
past the power play against Fame to actually
That's
face.
what I keep saying, Varun. You bat him
Yeah.
at 3,
Bat
as you
him
say,
at
bat
3,
him at
man.
4. That is
Bat him at
absolutely
3,
not
bat
a
him at
concern.
4. Yeah.
exactly.
Bat him at 8 if right. Just don't open with him, please. Right.
And we got one more here. Is the Champions League T20 ever coming back or nah? Says Smileton. Here's my thing with it. I don't understand why the BCCI were even thinking that this should come back, right? At least now. Because I would if I'm the BCCI, I would much rather have the IPL for 4 months a year or 5 or 6 months a year than I would be worrying about a Champions League coming in at another stage. And then the issue is, by the time we get to the IPL being a 6 or 7 month league, do you need a Champions League anymore? Right? So I don't really know how it fits in. So if you think about the Champions League in football, it makes sense because you have a bunch of different European leagues where you have a similar level of talent, right? You have a couple of teams that usually might stick out from smaller countries occasionally that do really, really well. If the IPL is here and every other league is here, what's the point of the Champions League unless the IPL owners just want to win another trophy, right?
Yeah.
And
Now-
the other thing is, people play everywhere, don't they? Like, if you're one of those, like, what is it? Bolt plays for all the MI teams. Like,
Exactly.
is he, like, are we expecting like a cricket 26 type, like where you duplicate both players when they play each other? Like, what's happening? How would it work logistically?
And
right?
multiple owners across various leagues, that sort of stuff as well, right?
Yeah,
Like, so
sometimes the coaching
obviously
stuff
they're going to
overlaps.
prioritize the IPL. Like, who is going to
No, forget
prioritize
that.
the other teams? It's their
No, the
main
coaching
asset.
stuff overlap too, Shayan, at
Oh,
times, don't
coaching
they?
stuff too. Oh, man.
Yeah.
It cannot
Physios?
happen now.
Physios. yes.
Analysts, I would imagine, maybe sometimes.
Yeah,
I
it
don't
will
know.
be. It will
Yeah,
be
analysts
literally
will.
everyone. There'll be overlap. It's so hard, and so there's so many things that go against it. So A, it's not like the football model. B,
Not
it
at
doesn't
all.
really make sense from a point of view of the teams and the ownerships, as we just said. What happens if your own team's playing your own team? What happens if Pal Royals beat Rajasthan Royals? Like, it's such a weird, like, are we going to have, like, literally, like is it Formula One, where they're like, no, you can't beat them, so you're going to have to forfeit the last 5
It's
overs
easy,
or
Jared. If
whatever.
Power Royals beat Rajasthan Royals, they can be the only Royals. That's what we
Is
need.
that-
We need
Can we
all
have a
the
royal off?
yeah. It's like if the Joburg Super Kings beat Chennai Super Kings, only they can be called Super Kings.
Yeah. So
That's what we
I
need in
just-
this.
And then you've got the other one, as you said, with multiple players. So, back in the day, you had Kyron Pollard, Cameron White, and Dirk Nannes who qualified for like 3, 4, 5 sides between them.
Butler, no, not Butler, sorry. I'm so sorry. He was with Somerset at that time.
Yeah. Somerset did make it though one year, I think. So you end up in this weird situation where we know who's going to pick the players. Also, let's not forget that Mumbai Indians blatantly cheated when it
5
came
overseas.
to to the Champions League by asking for an extra overseas player when Sky was fit and playing a club game like a week later. Like, what are we even talking about here? It was such a silly thing. It's a great idea, and I would probably, if it existed as a T20 league and was taken seriously, it would probably be my favorite. I just don't see how we
Also,
ever get anything
wasn't
like
the
this.
issue they had in Champions League was none of the like games outside of India ever got any attention, like because it was only like really watched by people, and it was hosted in India. None of the other, when it was hosted outside of India, they just didn't get a lot of love from the fans, right?
No, it wasn't so much that. It's just that when, in those days, no one knew who Otago was, right?
Yeah.
So, okay, so let's say Otago's playing Somerset. I'm not saying they ever played each other, but let's say they played each other, right? Somerset's one of the more supported English teams, right? But you're still talking about 50 to 60,000 people who care. Now it's out of cricket season. It's some tournament you haven't heard of before, right? You're already off doing something else. And then you've got Otago, which doesn't have 60,000 people, right? Let alone fans. And so those games were getting just negative ratings, right? And so people like me and you two, if you'd been alive, would have watched them. But normal people are not watching these games, right? And so it didn't really have anything. It didn't go through. I'm just having a look. Have we got any updates here? A little bit less rain, but still looks very unlikely. Just before we take another break. Oh, no, he says that and then he accidentally clicks on the comment. I thought I'd just bring this up. Vignesh might need to make it look prettier for us. But these are the power rankings. I didn't run them by you this time. So I thought, let's just run them by you live on air. I have RCB at number 1. I think that they were second favourites coming in. They played really good in a couple of games so far. I think, they haven't really been tested all that much, but I don't see any reason not to have them at number 1.
Yeah, if Hazelwood comes back in, they're automatically number 1, are they not?
Yeah. I've got some questions. Krunal Pandya's bowling is a very big question at the moment.
I think he's trying too much, is he not? I would be interested to
Do you
see
mean
a
Kedar
live game.
Jadhav, Jared, not Krunal Pandya?
Exactly.
There's a lot going on. So I have them and DC at the top in a tier of their own, really. Although I didn't do it in tiers this time. Any problem with that?
RCB and DCD. I feel like you're a bit low on Punjab for my liking. I quite like
Also
the way they have been playing.
So I think the issue with
They've
DC
been
is
batting very well though, Punjab.
Yeah.
And they
Also, I don't know if I have DC at 2. The only issue is because I think, as we were discussing earlier, I don't know. I feel like Miller and Stubbs batting together will haunt
the
them
same
at some
player.
point,
As Rob says.
right? And the other thing is, did they have a number 3 they can trust? Because if Nitish Rana keeps coming in the power play versus pace, he's not going to make a lot of runs, is he? That his best utility is versus spin.
Warren,
So
just
there
let me
isn't
tell
an
you,
obvious number 3, right?
the
I mean,
issue
to be
with them
fair,
is-
Romario Shepherd is the 5th bowler for RCB. Like, if you only look for negatives in every side, you're gonna find
That's
them.
true.
I have Mumbai at number 3, but obviously fading down. Are we happy with this?
Yeah. With Mumbai, it's if they turn up, I think I don't know if anyone can beat them, but will they turn up is the question. With them, as it always is.
I just feel like they haven't quite assembled yet, right? But obviously they can assemble. And I rated them so high coming into the season. I don't want to just be out on them because they lost a single game. So I've kept them up. Punjab are too high. I should have put them lower. That's what Sharon said.
No, I think Jared, when I was talking to Rob about their batting, it just feels to me like they have players in every single phase that can turn a game for me. Like they've got someone like a Priyan Sharia who can just turn a game in 10 balls in the power play. Now through the middle overs, you've got someone like Shreyas Iyer. Cooper Connolly, if he continues his good form, he's obviously right up there. You've got some guys like Shashank who can take their time and then also launch at the death. And Nehal Vadhera is a player who Varun is like quite fascinated with these days. The jury is still out on him, I would say. But then you've got Stoinis who can finish at the death. He's getting on a bit old. That I will give people that who are being critical about that. And even with the ball, right? Like if Chahal is bowling in the form that he is, dude, they are going to be a solid team. If I did the power rankings, I would probably have Punjab 2nd, Mumbai 3rd, and Delhi 4th. Yeah.
So,
Off the top of my head.
Punjab, let me just give you the rebuttal to this so far.
Yeah.
They basically had 2 players look good with the bat at the moment, right? and they've been in low-scoring
they?
games. My question is, can they, when it gets to the end of the year, do they have the ability, if the pitches get flat, to score the 220, 240 games?
Yeah, I think they do.
Yeah, yeah.
See, I don't think they do. I don't think. I think if you compare them to RCB and Mumbai, I just think there's a very different kind of teams.
I don't
some of
doubt
those
their
others have.
ceiling, Jared, with the bat. I actually feel like they can gun 220, 240 type scores on potential. But my only thing would be if they lose a couple of early wickets. Like what happened last season was Arya and Prabhsimran both clicked as a pair. So that automatically that extended their batting lineup. Did it not? And Shreyas also he had better entry points. So he dealt with spin and pace both really, really well, especially in the middle overs, right? You don't want Shreyas coming in the power play. So that's why they had English then. And now they have Connolly, who's had a couple of good games. The issue for me would be if Arya, he's had a good, like the last game he won player of the match for basically staying in for 11 balls, right? If he's going to play like that, that will be sorted. I feel like that's not going to be an issue. But if he has second season blues, if he doesn't make a lot of runs this season, then I think I see what you're trying to say. Then I'll be a bit concerned.
I think they've been fine in the first couple of games, but they haven't blown me away. They haven't,
They had lots of sixes, Jared, to be fair.
Yeah.
Were there not 11 sixes to 3 fours in the first game?
Yeah, there have been times where I just thought they've looked average as well, as a team.
Gujarat game, the first one, I felt like they were sort of, they should have won that much more comfortably. Chennai one, I thought they won fairly easily.
But Chennai is not a good side either, right?
Chennai are not a good team. I will give you that for sure.
So
but I think I'll still
didn't want to
disagree
put them
with you
through
on
the
that.
roof.
But
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, I think I have Delhi a lot higher than you two. But I don't.
Yeah, for sure.
I could swap Mumbai and Punjab around.
Yeah, I love Delhi's bowling. It's like I just don't
bowling
trust the
Delhi are
batting at
really
all.
good.
Well, that's why that's one of the reasons
They don't
I've
have a
gone
high
so
ceiling, Jared, with the bat. Like, who is their power hitter?
They
who's
don't.
going to, score at a ridiculous rate? They
No,
don't
I
have a
agree. They
ceiling player.
don't. But they have such a good bowling attack.
Yeah, for that. For
And
sure.
and I feel
they
like at
still
some
have
point
star
KL
power.
Rahul will start making runs again, wouldn't he? Like I feel like
Yeah,
at some point that will happen. Yeah.
I'll tell you one other reason I had Delhi so high as well. It's also because they were willing against Mumbai to put out a wicket that suited themselves.
I like that.
So for my thought,
that.
that means their wins at home are more automatic, and that means they're going to have an easier season than some of the other teams that don't do that. All right, I have RR next, which we had them ranked as dead last coming into the season, or equal last at least. They've played really good cricket so far, but we probably won't know how good they are until the next 3 games. That's why I just don't know where to put them. And I'm not sure they're better than any of the teams above them either.
What are the next 3 games? I'll just look this up real quick.
If only we'd written a piece about it yesterday.
No, I don't remember it off the top of my head, Jared.
No,
I'll
I'm
just
only
open the
joking.
piece.
I don't remember it either. I wrote the piece and I don't remember it.
Exactly. So they have MI, RCB and Sunrisers. Okay. So they have two strong games and one slightly weak one.
So I thought that'll give us a much better idea. Even if they lose those 2 games, they could still be 3-2. But we will know how good they are, I think, a little bit more after that happens. That was my thinking with them. I've got Gujarat at 6. I'm a little bit concerned with Gujarat and them losing the mass race because they only ever hit 4s, and they're going to have to hit so many 4s compared to everyone else.
This is the anti Punjab Kings, right? Like they hit 4s and Punjab hit 6s. So that thing is there definitely. I think with Gujarat, Ashok Sharma has been quite interesting, right? He's clocking 150 plus. I believe he bowled at 154 and his lowest ball was like at a 50 kilometers per hour delta. So I am quite interested to see what he's got. Of course, they will require... Rashid has looked better, as you've said. I think that's a bit of a plus for them. Butler's form, can they run it back to the last season where their top 3 was doing all the... Like they were scoring all the runs? Let's see, I think. Because if that does not happen, again, it's the middle order issue. I am not convinced about the middle order, and they should not be winning. Like that's what lots of people on social media also say, right, Jared? That they're not winning T20 cricket like morally correctly in that sense. But Nehra, he has his ways and he gets the job done. I think we can say whatever we want, but I mean, the point being that if they lose 2 early wickets, then where are they standing? That's really my issue with their batting.
Yeah, I mean, you could make that argument, last year, but it's more. It feels again.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
then
but they
they
just
were all
never
making
did
runs
lose
last time.
wickets.
That's the difference.
They just never did that. I think that's the thing.
We've got LSG here, so I've got them up a little bit over the other teams because they've won a game. But
Yeah.
realistically,
Like their pace attack too.
Yeah, I wouldn't surprise me if they drop back down again very, very quickly. Does anyone complain about the bottom three?
No,
I
think
would
after
actually
5
complain about that because
Go.
I think KKR should be 10 and CSK should be 15.
I think if you read the piece, I do make a very good argument that CSK could be 15. No, I think, yeah,
As Zimanish was saying, they should be relegated.
if KKR, if Chakravarti comes back, I'm happy with them being 9. If he can't come back, then
they might slip down to 10th, I think.
Yeah.
And Brevis and Chakravarti, I feel like they define the 9 and 10, if that makes
Brevis
sense.
is good too. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
If Brevis
Yeah.
comes in and makes 350 at a strike rate of 160 for the rest of the year.
Yeah.
He could have a big impact. So yeah, so
Exactly.
plenty of stuff there. We've got a couple more super chats. Last time I checked, where are we here? The rain has stopped and slowed at various times, but the market still very much believes that this game is going to be washed out, which means that there's potentially more to come.
11:14 is the cutoff time, so another half an hour. Based on what I can just
So
see on
one
the screen,
more
5
even-
overs.
Slight downpour is gonna fix that and end that. So let's see what happens there. Blue Eagle says need CL T20 to see Fleming teams bowl 125k around the wicket Yorkers at the death to each other. Why does Jared rate Bosch lower than consensus? I'm not sure I do rate him lower than consensus. I rate
The
him.
one I would say is Janssen.
No, I think you don't rate Bosch's batting, do you,
Janssen's
Jared?
batting.
Well, I mean Corbin Bosch. So let's say this, Blue Eagles. I'm going to ask you a question. How high do you rate a guy who in his T20 career averages 17 with the bat at a strike rate of 114? I'd like him as a fifth bowler, but are those the numbers of someone who justifies being a fifth bowler, right? I think in the IPL he can help occasionally, but he's probably a number 8, and he's not a very useful number 8, right? Like he's not really. He's played a couple of great innings, and everyone's got really excited about him. He's also had lots of years where he hasn't done very well, right? And hasn't done very much. I'm all for people late developing, and I think he's a fascinating cricketer. He can bowl fast, but he's not particularly skillful with the ball, right? Like, he doesn't do a lot with it. So again, not quite a frontline bowler, and certainly not a top 7 batter. He's Evan Gulbis he's like the S tier Evan Gulbis, isn't he?
Yeah.
Has his batting gotten better in recent years? I would be interested to see that.
Yeah, I would hate to think it hasn't. No, he's certainly got better in the last couple of years. But he's still batting at number 8 in all these sides, right? I think people talk about him like he could bat number 6 or number 7. And
6, I don't agree either. 7, I can. It's a bit. I think personally.
would you be happy
watching
if he
both of
batted
them
at number
bat-
7 in a team? Would you feel confident if you were the?
No, that's what
There
I'm
we
telling
go.
you, right? So not with Bosch, but I would say Janssen at 7. I am okay with Janssen.
Would
at
you
7.
like Corbin Bosch's T20 batting record so far this year?
I think,
Yeah.
as I keep saying here, I think Bosch is 7.5.
Okay, well, let me say this to you then. This year, in 16 games, he's batted 9 times. How many runs do you think he's made in those 9 games?
81, 82, maybe. Wild guess.
Okay. What do you think his strike rate is?
140.
I'm gonna
That's
say
how
50
people
runs
think.
and 110.
That's how what Cheyenne just said is what Blue Eagles and everyone thinks about Corbin Bosch. This year, in 9 games, he's made 32 runs at an average of 8 at a strike rate of 96. Am I missing something, guys? Am I missing something about Corbin Bosch that the rest of you are noticing? So let's go back to his great year last year, shall we? Right? Where he was incredible. 27 games, 16 innings, average of 16, and a strike rate of 119. Again, am I missing something here?
I think it might be the Test cricket hangover.
Yeah, thank you. No
Yeah.
issue with him in Test cricket. His first class
ODI,
numbers are
right? The ODI
ridiculous,
100
right?
is-
Yeah, I think his ODI is
false
a
save.
bit more confusing, isn't it? Where are we? List A.
A false set is a very good way to put it.
No, sorry, List A. He's done very well.
Exactly.
List
Longer
A in
the
first
format,
class
I feel like
cricket.
it gets better.
I believe this man can bat. I do not believe, even for a microsecond, that he's worked out how to do this in T20 cricket. right?
So I have
Now,
a question, Jared. Is he one of those, like as we call it, like slow starter type players, where he's like he needs some time to get going?
It's possible. Yeah, I mean, we'd have to
Yeah.
go through maybe his list A record would be the best one to look at. Can I bring that up quickly here? I think
Jared, I will say, since we were talking about Bosch, but the other guy had that always comes up in this.
Just before you say
conversation is-
anything, are you guys shocked with those numbers?
Yeah, I
No,
didn't
because
think
I
was
feel
that
like
bad in
I've come
T20s.
across them at some point because of you.
So my point would be, is I've been talking about this for a long time, and I just feel that no one else has looked into him, right? And then people go, "Oh, you don't like Bosch, blah blah blah," and I'm like, it's not that I don't like him. I don't know how he works. If I could find a way to make him work, I would use it. Sorry, Cheyenne, you had a point, and I
Yeah,
ruined
I
it.
was just saying, obviously, when we talk about Bosch, the other guy is Marco Janssen, right? Between the two of those, I am much higher on Janssen's batting personally. And
But I
I've
think,
seen-
but I think Janssen can be the best cricketer in the world in 5 years' time, right?
He
So
will be,
how
he
am
will
I
be.
not
Bosch
high
will.
on him?
No, I'm not saying you aren't. I'm
No,
saying
no, but
I
I'm
am.
saying you said a minute ago I wasn't high on him. I
No,
honestly
I didn't say
think
anything about you.
you did.
No,
You
no, I'm saying
literally- you
I
brought
didn't say that.
Janssen up. You did. You said
I'm
everyone
saying
thinks
it-
Jared's not high on Bosch, but he's actually not high on Janssen.
No, I'm saying it in context of South Africa, 7 and 8.
Yeah. But my point is, I think that Marco Janssen can be the best player in the world, but he's clearly
Yeah.
not that at the moment. And people keep saying to me, check his recent numbers. And I'm like, okay, he still averages 16. What am I missing, guys? Do you know what I mean? Like at a certain point, if he was good enough to move up to number 7, it would be there in the numbers, right? And it's not there in the numbers. And so, again, I think that's interesting. So on Bosch, fascinating here. You like this a lot. He bats at number 7 in List A cricket, and he averages 62.
Okay.
So he's batting down the order in List A cricket, and he's making it work.
So small sample size, of course. In ODI cricket, his first 10 ball true strike rate is -20. In all of T20 cricket, it's -36.
What?
I think that probably makes sense. And where do you bat Corbin Bosch then, right?
Yeah, that's tricky then.
I
Is
just
he
don't think
a-
he's the player people think he is. I actually think he makes more sense at 7 than some of the guys who bat at 7, because at least then you get him in to face 10 balls, right?
Or could he be a number 8, but you use him when you're 20 for 3?
Yes.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I think that's
Yeah.
that's a perfect example. There might be a bit of Benny Howe.
Some would
thing
say
here.
poor man's Krunal Pandya.
Yeah. So
Ooh.
Benny Howe was one of those guys who's got a lot better at batting over the years. But for years, it was like he was playing as a batter, but actually being a bowler, right? And teams were batting him at 4 at 5, and he was giving them nothing with the bat, right? Whereas actually what you want with Benny Howe is if you lose a bunch of quick wickets, you've got a batter in your team who's batting at number 8. So Liam Dawson does this. Michael Yardy
Kunal
did this
Pandya.
for England briefly. You can use a player like that. They're really handy. That's a handy guy to have, right?
Yeah.
But at the moment, like you look at this, and Corbin Bosch has all the potential to be an all-rounder, right? But there are plenty of players who have had the potential to be an all-rounder in a
really?
format who haven't made sense of it, right? How long did we call Harshal Patel an all-rounder,
That's true. That's very true.
right?
Couple
And
of
what,
days,
let me
maybe.
just look up his record now.
Average of 12 maybe.
Average of 15 with a strike rate of 138 across all T20 cricket, and
That
in
would
the
be including
IPL,
Smart.
yeah, that's Matt. In the IPL, he's average 8 with a strike rate of 117, right? He
Fair
can
enough.
hold a bat, but it hasn't worked,
Yeah.
right?
Correct.
And sometimes it's about role definition and everything else. But yeah, if you want me to, if you want to know why I don't rate him, he's made no runs this year at a terrible strike rate, right? And people keep pushing it, and they keep pushing it. I'm like, guys, I understand it. He's a very talented person. I think he's really good. I think he's a fascinating Test cricketer, right?
Yeah.
I don't really know how he fits into a T20 side at the moment. We have one more here, which is Road says Saudis investing in cricket. What's next for the sport? A lot of this, I think there's just been a little bit more rain in our game, by the way, because the odds have just changed again. I think the Saudis are interesting. I think what you will see though now is Middle East, Chinese, and European money coming into cricket. I think it'll be all three. I don't think it'll be just one. The next big test that we have is whether the next IPL rights go up. Sorry, everyone. Whether the next IPL rights go up or not, because there isn't there. So we might have to find a way to make more money out of cricket that isn't just waiting for the TV rights to go up every time. The other big change that should happen in cricket is that the media gets better, because that has been a big issue for the last 30 to 40 years. The game has grown and the media hasn't got any better. So I think those are all the different parts of it. And the other thing that I would say is cricket in non-Asian countries is very player-led, as in people play
Seasons.
cricket. Yeah, normal humans play cricket and they, on a Saturday and a Sunday, and they're really into cricket. And so cricket gear and all these different things, and there's a culture around playing cricket. In Asia, that hasn't taken off the same way, and largely that is to do with the economy and everything else. It may not be that it happens in a proper cricket way, but it might happen in a eights league, rubber ball leagues, and all those sorts of things. But at the moment, those are very haphazard, the way that they're played in Asia, right? Like, there might be a tournament that comes up that everyone takes seriously, but you don't have to make sure that you have 1 day free every week. Cricket in the other parts of the world has actually had that, and that brings cricket more towards a golf thing. Whereas you don't need everyone to watch the IPL or the Indian men's team. You can actually make money out of people playing it at different levels, and it also helps around the world. I wonder if there's a way of sort of strengthening that and making that a stronger sort of pastime rather than just watching the game, but playing the game as well, right? In a more structured way, because it's quite unstructured, as I said, at the moment. So a lot of people, a lot of my Asian friends, they play cricket in school, they play cricket in university, and then they don't really play anymore unless they've got a local occasional game at a rubber ball, right? Whereas most of my Western friends play club cricket. They've got a structure, they play every week, they play on proper pitches, they play with hard balls. That hasn't happened as much in Asia at the moment.
To be fair, I will add, Jared, that there's corporate cricket, so you do see that a bit in Indian circles. But I think that's more for the upper middle class and the elites and so on.
And I think that's what I'm trying to say. Whereas if you're in Australia or New Zealand, you don't, it doesn't matter if you're a lawyer or if you're a mechanic, right? If you have a Saturday or a Sunday free or a weeknight free, you're and you want to play cricket, you play cricket. So, and even the corporate stuff in Asia during my career has dipped a bit. When I first started, it was really strong. Everyone was talking about their corporate teams. Doesn't seem to be as strong. And if you look at what happened in England, corporate cricket used to be huge in England, and it basically doesn't exist anymore, right? Like when my wife's work need a cricket team, I get a call every time because they don't have enough players available anymore, right? So these things have changed quite a bit. So those are the things. Where it comes into. Oh, the only other thing I would add is we need a cricket video game that works, that everyone likes. That could change cricket massively. It got into basketball through 2K.
In 2K, yeah, exactly.
All right. And the last thing I would add, now that I'm just adding everything, is YouTube. And I don't just mean YouTube, I mean Instagram as well. We can't have a game where people can't share clips. Our game is too disparate. It's too diverse. It needs to be able to get as many clips out there as possible. And I don't care if the boards find a way to monetize it or not, but we can't be in a situation where too many people who happen to come from a particular area find it hard to watch cricket. Yeah. If someone plays a great innings, you should be able to go onto your phone and find it in a heartbeat. You shouldn't have to spend 5 minutes going, is it bcci.com or is it bcci.tv? Oh, they haven't uploaded it because they don't upload anything at the moment.
Also, horrible website if you want to look it up on your phone.
Yeah, it's really hard to work around it. I know they have some good stuff going on there because I keep checking, and there's often
the
some
ICC
tactical
shit
stuff.
too, because the ICC seems to take old video clips offline all the time.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, can you not
I think
afford the
Hyperpass
bandwidth?
has been talking about that, yeah.
Oh, it does my head in. Andy
So
says
some
Jamie
really
Overton or
nonsense
Bosch, also Akshar or Santner.
Batting
I think you mean general, right?
or general, okay.
Jamie Overton is probably more used to a good team than Bosch is. Bosch is probably more used to a bad team than Overton is.
Interesting.
Does that make sense?
I
sort
can
of
see
get
that.
it.
At least for
Because if you
Overton,
have a
I see.
really good team and you can use Overton in the middle and he's your number 8 who can come in and hit sixes, he'd be fantastic, right? But if you need him to be a frontline bowler and you need him to bat, Overton doesn't really help you all that much.
Yeah, but counter argument, I trust Bosch as a death bowler more than I trust Overton anywhere.
I think... Bosch's career will probably be defined if he can find a bowling period of the game that he's good at, right? And Overton's bowling period of the game is the one that doesn't, that maybe works the best outside of Asia, which is whacking the ball into the pitch in the middle overs is fine if you're not a spin dependent team. but the minute you come to Asia, his main skill kind of goes away, right?
Yeah.
And then with the bat, I feel like Overton makes more. Let's have a look at Overton's record because I think it'd be fascinating.
Let's guess it first. 17 at strike out of 136 career, maybe.
Yeah, that probably makes it. I'm gonna say 15, 129 or something. I don't know. I'm just gonna go lowball it. But he has probably been CSK's second best batter so far. So
That he has.
Yeah, I thought you guys are underplaying him a little bit here. His thing is not his power, right? Even career-wise, his strike rate is 153.
okay, that's pretty good.
Okay.
So the issue with
I don't think he's a
when you
better
have
bat than
such-
Bosch. I think he's more useful in a T20 game than Bosch with the bat.
No, I think one of the reasons I underestimated is when you face that little balls, it's almost very difficult for your strike rate to be that high, because it's like you could so easily be 7 of 7 and get out, right?
Yeah, I just think he's a really good hitter, right? Almost from ball
I think
one.
that's fair. Yeah.
I think he can come in and just clear a rope pretty easily, and he has no issues there. Let me just look up last year for him. I don't feel like he's been in good form, so I wouldn't be surprised if this is. Oh no, it's not. It's not too bad. Well, it's not as bad as Bosch. It's average of 15, a strike rate of 120. So he's dipped a bit with power, which is interesting, because let me take you through some of these years. He's had a strike rate of 195, 189, 167,
So
186.
Rob just said game off, by the way. Sorry.
Oh, great. We'll call that in a second. Well, you have called that, but we'll explain that in a second. And 169. So last year, he had an average of 16 and a strike rate of 143. I think that's what people think Bosch is. But that's Overton. So here's a great cricketer. If you combine Overton with Bosch and you take Bosch's bowling and you take Overton's batting, that would be a much better cricketer for me. I really like that as a cricketer. That's a number 8 who you can rely on to come in for 10 balls and probably hit 2 sixes.
Yeah, fair.
Right? That's a good cricketer. And then you get Bosch's bowling, which I think he's a bit smart. Neither of them do a lot with the ball, but I think he's just a bit smarter than Overton with his bowling. As I said, Overton very good in certain areas. Akshar or Santner? I think I would take Akshar. No, I'd take Akshar.
Yeah.
I think I'd take Akshar's bowling. I think Santner's batting has
bowling,
really improved a lot, though.
If you're
This
just
is
doing
interesting.
recent times, Santner's batting's incredible. But I think the flexibility that Akshar's batting gives you is
Exactly, that's what I was going to say.
over a career is way better.
I'd argue, I'd argue his batting is a lot more limited, isn't it? Because he's not a great death hitter. So
He's not a death hitter, but he can hit spin for you in the middle, can he not?
Yeah, but
isn't
but
it
I think
two different roles, isn't it? That's what.
yeah,
I
but
would
isn't
say.
Santner's the exact same player? Santner's not a very good death hitter. And then Santner's
he's
really
come
good
along-
Yeah,
against
but
Has he
recently,
not
that's what I'm
in
saying.
recent
Recently, I
times?
think. Yeah.
Yeah, but I would argue that if you have Akshar in your team and he's your 7th best batter, you feel like you have 7 batters. I think if you have Santner in your team and he's your 7th best batter, you feel like you've got an all-rounder at number 7, right? Who can give you some use. Now, if
I
you
see
just
your
go hyper recent, right? I'm more on your side, where I'm like, Santner's batting has gone through the roof. But if you're talking about last 4 or 5 years and overall quality, I think Akshar's well ahead of him. Who's the better fielder?
Oh, they're both really good.
I know.
Akshar maybe on recent
Yeah.
recency bias.
I was
but
gonna say Akshar, so
dude,
I was
Santner
thinking
can take
because
some
I
good
feel like
ones.
I was going to say Akshar, and then I
don't
thought of
think
some
I've
of
noticed
Santner's
Santner.
catches have been incredible,
Yeah,
haven't they?
exactly.
I
They're
wonder if
really
Santner
good.
has better hands, but Akshar is a better mover.
Could be. You remember the one
That's
where
it.
he passed the ball to Dubey? Was it Dubey in the semi-final? That doesn't go down as a catch
it
for
was,
him.
It was,
Yeah.
Yes.
I think he's
Double
I think
Jack's
he's a really
wicket,
good
right?
fielder. Yeah.
Yeah, I believe so. Yes.
So it was called off. Let me just get back to the scorecard so I can give you your final bit of cricket. We had 3.4 overs where me and Shine were at our absolute best, just killing it. Like some of the best quality stuff. If you guys missed it, I'm sorry. It was just bam, bam. I can't believe these guys are so attractive and intelligent. And then it rained. So basically, KKR lost 2 early wickets. Rahane was 8 off 6. Raghavanshi was 7 off 7. And Bartlett took 2 wickets, swinging the ball around corners, doing a lot of good work. He got rid of Finn Allen and he got rid of Cameron Green. That's when the rain came down. They were probably going to lose this game. So I take this as a victory if I'm KKR. I take the points and I run out of the stadium as quickly as possible. If I'm Punjab, I'm actually really annoyed at this because they were in front in that game. They should have pushed on. They're a better side. and they've missed out there. But we'll be back, and I would like to say that we had as many people on this watch along today as we have had for some of the games. So just a huge shout out to all of you who are supporting us with or without cricket, because that means a lot to us. We made a podcast live on air today as well. And maybe in the future, we'll definitely try and do that again. But I'm going to go and get some food and go to bed. Cheyenne won't go to bed for about another 14 hours. And Varun lives in bed. In fact, you could see his bed right now.
Indeed.
We'll be back on Combox tomorrow for more of these kinds of shenanigans. Go to combox.tv, sign up to the future of cricket media, or just the thing that we're telling you to have a look at. And we will see more of you then on Combox. Combox. The game lives on.